Press start.
All right, well, let's get started. There's a lot to talk about, so we're just going to jump right in. Episode 141, the whole crew's here. We have Dan over there sipping what I assume is straight vodka in that.
I'm drunker than that woman that pissed off Kyle.
Drunker than the woman in the theater for Kyle.
Drunker than
Wow, you're prom date drunk right now. That's amazing.
And that voice you hear there is Kyle. Kyle's here. He's alive. I know last week we announced that he was dead and or homosexual. We weren't sure which one.
I got over. I went to the pray the gay away camp, and it's gone now. So I'm feeling straight, but not great.
I need a bumper sticker that says that. Straight but not great.
Tim, dead or gay? What's the difference, right? What's the difference?
Wow. All right, there it is.
I'm gonna take that clip of Dan and just hold on to it for when I need to hold something against him.
But dub it over Derek's mouth. Dub it over Derek's mouth because that's something.
It's expected.
I would not
from him,
deny
not
that
from you,
in public. I would be like, hell yeah, I fully endorse that comment.
All right, so there's our very, very woke member of the group. Derek is here. Yeah, he's
Pro
the
women.
Wokest.
Very
Pro
sensitive.
women. Hashtag me too.
Now you are kind of frozen. Your video.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's so woke that he's frozen.
I think Skype heard everything you just said and is taking action as we speak. Is what I think happened.
Bill Gates is very mad.
And then of course Jeff is here as well, and Jeff and I rocking the God of War backgrounds. Dan and Kyle rocking the awesome real life backgrounds. Got to give them props for those. Good effort put into those. I like those. And then
Derek's rocking the attractive man background.
Yeah, Derek's got is it Cillian Murphy? Is that how you say it, or is it Cillian?
Cillian.
Cillian Murphy. So my wife hasn't seen him in a lot of movies, but we saw an ad that had him. I think it might have been for Peaky Blinders, and she did the thing that we've been together for 20 years, married for 18, and when there's someone that she finds attractive, she always goes, "Ugh." It's like the opposite
cute.
thing.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, that's
It's
cute.
like that
Yeah.
opposite. She's like, "Ugh, get him
Sure.
off the screen." I'm like, "Got it. I
Right.
understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it." And I actually agreed. I was like,
written down. All right.
I was
here
like,
you
I
go.
agree with you. Yeah,
He's a handsome fella. He's a handsome fella.
He is, and it doesn't hurt that he's just one of the best actors too. So
I really like his acting.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
great.
he's phenomenal. Yeah, he's one of those that feel like effortless. Like he just
even
gets
in
up there
his
and puts it in.
smaller roles and stuff, I'm just like, this dude. Like for
Yeah.
example, Inception. I thought he was incredible in that movie.
He
And he had
is,
a relatively small role, like an important part of the story, but a smaller role.
I mean, even Scarecrow's not a huge role. I guess maybe in Batman Begins he is, but when he shows
Yeah,
up in the subsequent
second
two
one,
movies, you're talking about super memorable scenes that last like 2 minutes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he
Or
just
one of those
he's-
like quick kind of popcorn movies. What is it, Red Eye? That's like not like
Red
I
Eye,
don't win
yeah.
any
Matt. He's
awards,
so
but
good,
like
Matt.
he's like fantastic in that movie. Like
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
is, because that movie is kind of meh, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
There's
right.
that I agree with you there. So Cillian Murphy's the man. So there you go. That's if you're just listening, that's what our backgrounds look like. And then if you're just listening, not if you're watching. If you're watching, ignore this. If you're listening, we are all looking amazing today. Like just so handsome. It's amazing. Better
It
than
took me
Cillian.
30 minutes to look just like this. So
Yep. Samesies. All right, so let's jump right into what I think is the most important thing to talk about this week, and that's God of War Ragnarok, released this week, one of our most anticipated games as a group. We've had various amounts of time to play it. I think all of us have at least played it some, though, so we can give you our impressions. Don't worry, we'll keep it spoiler-free.
Gonna be so
But
difficult. This is
if
gonna
you
be so
just
hard.
if you don't even want to hear
Boy.
like our thoughts on
No.
if you don't even want to hear our thoughts on the game, that's understandable. That's fine. Maybe you won't get to play it for a little while. Just check the timestamp. I'll make sure to put timestamps in for when we move on to the next.
do y'all want to give like a one word for the people who are skipping?
Boy.
What do you mean?
Like the people who are
Boy.
about to skip the segment,
Oh.
who don't
Oh.
want the spoilers. You want
Boy's
to
a
give like
good-
a one?
Boy's a good one. That's good.
All right.
Derek.
Yeah.
or just the no.
No, it's good.
I
No.
Uh,
Those are
what do you
good.
think,
Yeah.
Kyle? What's yours?
Y'all said it all. That's great. You covered the whole. You covered the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm
The
just
whole
gonna-
spectrum. The whole spectrum.
I'm gonna go with. What's one word to describe this game so far? I don't know, man. Hammer.
That's Fimblewinter for you. That's what you say.
Fimblewinter. All right, so hopefully you've skipped ahead. If not, whatever. We're not going to spoil it. We're truly not. Like, there's going to be impressions and like we'll talk about gameplay and maybe some of the environments, but no story spoilers outside of what's been obvious from the trailers or maybe from the end of. We might spoil the end of the last game too, so keep that in mind. Too. We haven't played either because we're probably.
we have to. Yeah, we have to.
Kind of have to. So God of War Ragnarok has been out for a few days now. Jeff and Derek, I think, have had the most time with it. The ability to get into the game the farthest. I don't know how far you are, Dan. How much have you played it?
About 5 or 6 hours.
Okay, I'm a little behind that. I'm probably
Dan and I are about the same spot. It sounds like
closer to 4, maybe 5. Although today I racked up time on the game, but didn't actually get to play it much because it was paused so much. I thought I had a pretty open afternoon to like play, but then I'd have to pause it and go deal with a bunch of stuff and then come back. I won't bore you with all the real life stuff. It's just one of those days. You know, I thought I had more.
Brady Bunch.
One of those days.
Brady Bunch.
Jan
so it was
hit Marsha in the face with a football or whatever.
It was paused a lot.
Yep.
So I racked up like an hour and a half of game time. Probably only played about 20 minutes. So
jeez.
So anyway, I think I'm at about a 4-hour-ish of actually playing the game so far. So I think it's suffice to say right out of the gate, this game is living up to my expectations in the first 3-4 hours. I mean, I would say even right away as the game got going, I was like, I'm back. I'm here. Like
it took no time for me.
It didn't take any time. But then they, of course, if you remember from the first game, there's a huge encounter with Baldur. It's a really epic fight that it was.
The first one you're talking about?
Yeah, the first game is a really big fight with Baldur where you're going back and forth, and it's like, who is this guy? What is he trying to do? Like,
oh yes.
Why won't he die? This is insane. Like, that was an insane opening moment of that game after kind of a peaceful walk through the forest, and you had one boss fight, but overall pretty peaceful opening. And then it goes to that, and then this game, I won't say who, but there's a memorable encounter right out of the gate at the beginning. There's a verbal encounter which was like, whoa, this is pretty epic. Even just the discussion, I thought, this is so cool, so tense.
There's some really funny lines too.
So tense, and that's where the clip that Dan shared when he stands up slowly and says, no. That's where that clip comes from.
No.
Would you like to donate $1 to child charities, whatever?
No.
And then there's that really epic encounter, which I thought was awesome, and we get introduced to a few new characters, new actors that are voicing these characters that are all incredible so far. So I just want to throw it out there. I think it's hitting every note I wanted it to right out of the gate. It doesn't seem to be straying super far from the formula that made the 2018 one successful, and that could be a knock on it for some folks. If for some reason you don't like that formula of the open area but relatively linear, like if that's not your thing, okay. But I think this is doubling down on that very successful formula. I don't know if you think that's fair to say. What do you guys think?
I think it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, God of Snore Ragamuffin is it's all right.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Next, let's talk about Sonic, guys.
Sonic. I did like Sonic. So I'm like 12 hours in. I played a lot the first 2 days it released. I haven't been able to really play it much the last 2 days. But overall, like, I agree with you guys' sentiment on the opening. The beginning it's really good. It's a good way of like drawing you in with like an action scene, but it not being really like heavy on gameplay. It's just like kind of fun to watch and be a part of. Kind of like what we were talking about. We did a Requiem, Plague Tale Requiem spoiler cast last week. And we talked a lot about their little set pieces. It was kind of like that. It was like a little mini set piece. Yep. So I like that. Plus, it was bringing back a character that we're not mentioning that was very vital in the first game, bringing her back. And I haven't gotten to where we really get to see her again, but I expect that we will be seeing her again. I think I'm getting closer. Yeah. But basically,
that'd be so weird if we don't, right? After that opening,
it seems like an unresolved situation.
Yeah. It seems inevitable.
I think I'm getting closer to
it. Can't wait for you all
my overall take of the game though is
lose your shit.
I'm really enjoying it. It's not going to be my game of the year. Spoilers. It's not going to be my game of the year. It can't beat
because it has story. Why would it?
The best
There's
game.
talking in it, so
No, I don't have a problem with the story in this one. Just like I didn't have a problem with the story in like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and stuff like that. I'm enjoying Kratos is my dude. I like his vocabulary.
it's my dude.
Enough.
Dude, I love the little dialogue as you're traveling and, as you're in the boat, of course, just like in the first game, that's where a lot of dialogue happens. And sometimes I avoid going to the shore because I want to hear the end of the convo.
Yeah. They'll bring up something that's like, tell me the story about how Odin did this or whatever. And I'm like,
I'll literally stop the
that's
boat.
a long story. I'm going to have to just circle around.
I'm going to just sit in the boat here, I guess.
Yeah. We're just going to sit here taking the scenery.
I'm the opposite. I like hearing him cut him off and be like, not anymore.
That's enough. And then Atreus is like, okay. But I do like when there was a moment where it's real quiet and he just goes, Father, do you ever wonder if what we're doing is the right thing? And he just goes, no.
Yeah. And he's like, all right.
Yeah. There are some really great like one-liners, and not even one-liners, but like one-word responses from Kratos in like the first opening hours of this game that are just epic.
So too.
Or
just like the first game, he's very cold and cut off from his son. That's part of what made 2018's God of War my favorite game of that year. It still is. Like even re-ranking those games, I've looked back, it's still my favorite game from that year. And a lot of it was, of course, the gameplay amazing. Beautiful to look at. The music was stunning, but like it was all about the character moments that took it over the top to be the very best. Little things like, do you remember in the beginning of that game where he goes to put his hand on his shoulder, but then he stops? Like little moments like that were just such brilliant touches. So what I like what they've done with this one so far, and I'm sure it continues, is even though throughout the first game Kratos and his son get way closer and a lot of those walls are broken down throughout the game, as things happen, and then you can tell there's like a bond that's definitely formed by the end. But I like that in this game they're not like, yeah, but Kratos is still not soft, man. Like
they're not best buddies. Yeah,
he's not soft, and he still treats his son like his little boy, and he's not, he still has an attitude of you're not ready, even if he's not saying it as much this time around.
Right.
So I do like that. I think it's nice that he's still like, he hasn't lost who he is.
It's a relationship in progress still, which is nice. You're seeing like the continuation of that growth, that connection.
In the beginning, there are like moments where he's like, yes, the training is important, because Atreus is like, why do we keep training? Why aren't we going out there and doing something?
That's the thing. This time the angle is a little different. Whereas Kratos is warming up to him in the first game, this one is Atreus warming up to Kratos.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good.
Goes on.
But Atreus wants to go out and be like, we need to like meet this situation like head on. Like we need to go do something about it. And Kratos is like, I don't want war, man. Like literally the game's called God of War. He was the God of War. He's like, I don't want to do any war. Like no war. And Atreus is like, nah, we got to take care of this.
I don't know. It's just different because there's that no that we're talking about that he says. And he would not have said no in the first game if he was in the same place, like mentally and with his son.
Yeah, I'm definitely
I feel
not
like
saying
his level of trust is just totally like, he's got way more trust in his son now than he ever did before.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not saying they're in the same place. I'm just trying to say that like it's a continuation of that story of them.
It's picking up from where it left off.
Yeah. Like that wasn't a concluded arc in the first game. Like this is.
I agree.
You're right. It's not, and that's because adolescence makes people look at Amicia.
You're a different
makes
kid.
People do crazy shit, and and that continues in this game for sure. That theme continues.
You get bolder whenever you're a teenager and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
especially you see that a lot in Atreus, who maybe was a little more apt to like follow his dad's like plays like in the first game.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of him who thinks he knows better, which I remember being a teenager being like, my parents are stupid, I know better.
Yeah.
So it's like
he's doing things. You find out he's been doing things without his dad's knowledge, which gets them in trouble in the first place, basically. So
how I don't. It's just Atreus is such an interesting character because like this kid, when he was, I don't know how old he was in the first game, 8 to 10, found out
the actor,
the character, found out his entire life's journey from beginning to, I guess, end at the end of the first game. That could do a number on somebody growing up, so it's just, he's such a fascinating character in that way. I don't know. Anyway, I'm 21 and a half hours in. My God, guys, this game is just unreal. It is like all the character moments that you loved from the first game, mostly focused on like 4 core characters, right? Like obviously Kratos and Atreus, but like Freya and Balder, like they all get those are like the main focus. This one spreads that love around like the entire supporting cast of characters. Like, I mean, Brock is like my favorite dude in this.
It already feels like they have bigger parts, and they were in it a lot the first game.
Yeah, but they're way more in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of like counseling.
Like Brock is just like my favorite dude. Every time he might be present for a mission. Yeah, he's the blue one. And he has like a great story too that Sindri reveals. And I'm like, just this dude's so freaking funny, dude. Like he goes on a trek. Let's just say there's a mission that he's around a lot for, and he keeps saying that. That's why I said that's Thimblewinter for you, because anytime something freaking weird happens, he kept saying it to the point that Kratos was like, "Stop!" Like it's just like
no.
Yeah.
By the way, Atreus, according to the novelization of God of War, he was 11 for the first game, and it's been roughly 3 years because this mythological event, Fimbulwinter, takes about 3 years. So, anyway, and so since Ragnarok, anyway, without saying too much more, they're saying he's roughly 14 now, which makes sense.
Oh, okay, that adds up. Yeah, that's what his voice kind of sounds like. But things are happening, man. Like, I mean, this game is. I just got like another weapon that I didn't know anything about. I can't wait for you guys to see what I'm talking about. There's stuff that those little like tiny character moments where the game pauses and like whoever the character is that you're following is like, I'm tired, and like there's just like a really, really slow beat, and Bear McCreary's music just kicks in and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then there's surprise Karen Page. Karen Page's hot ass shows up for a minute. I'm sure you're all past that part.
Yeah, she shows up early on in the first
an
initial flashback dream thing. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. This game's gorgeous, but it's cross-gen. It's not. It's ugly. It's so
There's
ugly.
no way.
It's such an ugly game.
The PS4 is holding it back.
Too many resources were spent on newer generations.
Thank you, Kyle, for saying what we were all saying.
Yeah, it's very brave of you to say that. Now I think the game is trash.
So I recognized her right away during that sequence. I was like, oh, it's a chicken.
Yeah, I was like, is that Deborah Ann Wool? Like, is that the girl like from True Blood and stuff? That's
I'm catching up now. That Karen Page. I was like, why do y'all keep saying that name like I should know what that means?
Deborah, what'd you say?
Deborah Ann Wool. Yeah.
Okay.
All I know her from is Daredevil.
I didn't realize she was in there.
That was a really cool scene.
Yeah, that was a great scene, and it's just like the fact that it was like, I don't think that was in any of the marketing, whereas some of the other characters were apparently, and I just missed it. But she revealed it like 2 days after. She was like, yeah, that was me, and like here's all the screenshots.
And I mean, that's something that shouldn't be revealed, because it's like in of itself it's very cryptic. It's like something happens and it's like, and then suddenly you're kind of like thrown out of it, and you're like, whoa, what's going on?
And there's clearly, I mean, at the end of the first God of War, you discover there's way more to the late wife character, who all you know is that she died at the beginning of the first game. There's way more to her backstory, and therefore way more to Atreus' backstory, which at the end of the first game you discover a lot more about him. And it's like, whoa, there's a lot more here. And so I'm excited that they're continuing into a lot of that.
The lore dump just doesn't end. Like God of War 2018 is just giving you, I feel like at this point it's giving you teases and hints, even though there is a lot of story there. And this game is just filling in so many blanks, dude. And they say things where like, I think Agrabota has been in marketing. She's been in the trailers and stuff, so I can mention her at least. She says something, and I'm like, oh, that's a callback, and that's like everything's making sense. Like it's just everything. They're filling in blanks really well in this story.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's unbelievable, man. And there's just some of the level design is it's just insane. And they still do the same thing where you go to a realm. Same thing as the first game. Again, if it's not your cup of tea, as you know, well-educated people say, I guess, then you're not gonna like it. But you go to another realm, and it's like you can splinter off into several side quests if you explore more. And I do naturally, like, I prefer the realm-specific side quests. Whenever they give me a side quest that's like, this is for the 9 realms, I'm like, then I'm not gonna do it. It's gonna take forever. Like, I'm gonna have to go between realms to collect flowers or something. That's stupid. I'm not gonna do that. I get lost in it, man. I just like, there's one side quest specifically for somebody trying to remember who it was. Okay, yes. It was for somebody very important, and it took like 2.5 hours because I was just traveling around and looting and stuff. Like, and the payoff was just awesome.
When
like,
you see a chest like on the side of a cliff, you're like, well, I'm not leaving this island until I find that.
Well, and sometimes they'll even kick in. Sometimes they'll even kick in and be like, oh wow, yeah, I may have screwed this one up, guys. You think we can stop to fix this real quick? You know, like, it's cool, like just running into something contextually and like a conversation starting, and you get that, you know, side quest like bumper up at the top corner, you know, and you're like, oh, okay. Looks like I found something here.
This is what I enjoyed so much about Jedi Fallen Order and Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, these games are right up my alley because they have little touches of open world feelings at times where it's like, take the side path if you want to, like explore if you want, but you don't need to. And the game's you're not gonna like hurt your experience not by doing, but we're gonna allow it to happen and to be fun. And other characters will talk about it. Like, you'll come back and Atreus will be like, hey, did you find anything good? And of course, Kratos says nothing because he's Kratos.
It's the natural dialogue in those moments.
I like that the game even points out, it's like, don't grunt, say. You know, like there's characters that say that.
They also call out the fact that he's like, when you find somebody very important, he's like, I said the direction is this way. Where are you going? He's going to loot a crate. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait. Like,
that's why his name is Kratos. Come on,
Mimir is fantastic, right? Shout out to Mimir. Like, just the diet, like he fills in that emptiness. Atreus and him will be.
He does say brothers a whole lot more.
And he has the like best, healthiest relationship with all the characters too. So it's like Kratos and him have a pretty healthy relationship. Atreus and him have a pretty
much only Asgard hates him. That's it.
Yeah. Everybody else hates him, but you know, Mimir like. He
the
really
Hulk
feels like
Hogan of the game, because he's just like, hey brother,
I'll tell you something about Odin, dude. Yeah,
so I want to talk a little bit about the combat. And so Derek, we'll start with you. That's usually, I mean, we all enjoy the combat and have thoughts on it, but I know that you especially care a lot about combat in games. What do you think about this? What it brings over from the first game, and anything it introduces that you like or don't like?
Okay, so that's what I was trying to get to and why I said it's not going to be game of the year. I'm not saying it's bad combat or anything. It's combat from the first game. It's good combat. My frustration is two things. One, I don't like all the puzzles, and some of them are real simplistic. That's fine. You just go in, you see what you got to do, you nail it. But there's been several, because I'm trying to do all side content. So I'm not just doing story stuff and just plowing through the story. I'm trying to explore everything. And it just feels like there's just layers and layers of puzzles that stop me. And I'm like, okay, what the frick do I have to do here? And a lot of them are not Captain Obvious. Like, I'm fine even if I'm on an island on my own. I have to look them up because I'm like, I have no idea what you're asking me to do, and I'm getting pissed. So that's one thing. The other thing is my major issue, like, the combat's fluid. I love, the duo of Kratos and Atreus fighting together. That's still fluid. I love the fact that we can level up our equipment, all that's the same. My biggest issue is in regular fights, it's not really a big deal, but in boss fights, when you have this overly aggressive boss, and a lot of them are like ridiculously aggressive, plus they always basically summon in other enemies. The camera is so freaking close, and I've got yellow, red, blue circles everywhere, and I'm like, dude, fuck off. Like, this is really annoying. And I'm just playing on give me balance. I'm not playing on easy, and I'm not playing on ultra hard. I don't know how anybody would want to play this game on ultra hard if you're not like OP already. And there's parts where I was doing like side missions and I'm getting absolutely destroyed. I'm like, dude, I'm doing side quests to level up, so you can't do this to me, and you're still doing this to me. So there's some frustrations for me personally on the combat side. Again, I don't think it's broken or anything. I don't like, this is just my personal taste, I don't like the camera on my butt. I'd like it to be pulled back a little bit.
Is there no camera options? I haven't looked.
No. There's a lot of great, by the way, hats off to this game. A lot of great accessibility, and I'm not even talking about that for like political correctness. I'm talking about stuff that's useful for all gamers. Like, there's because the game, there's a lot of customization. Like, the game can get confusing. Like, I get lost a lot, like not in this game, just in general. I'm the type that like I just get lost. So this game's real good about you can turn on a thing where you click your right R3 button and it always points you in the right direction. Always. So that way if you're like if everything looks the same and you're looking around and going, I don't know which way I'm going. I don't know which one's exploring and which one's the story mission. If you hit R3, that will tell you that's the story mission. Then you know, oh, this could be a place I could explore. So I like that. There's some other stuff like you can mess around with the button layout. Like I switched evade to circle instead of X. I hate X.
Oh, I need to do that.
I need to do that too.
That's actually been a big problem for me.
Really
that's one of
that'll
my
throw me
favorite
off
things.
if I do that at this point. Yeah.
Well, if you played it,
it
threw. I didn't change it until I was about 8 hours in. And
Wow.
here's the funny thing: before I changed it, I kept hitting circle, and then I changed it to circle, and now I'm hitting X. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm afraid that's exactly what I would do.
I've gotten hit during battles so much because I'm hitting circle, and I'm like, I know I timed that right. Oh, it's the wrong button. Like, I do it all the time.
Circles
But
dodge.
there's a lot of.
What does circle do, by the way? Does that do anything? I forget.
In combat, no.
Things up, right?
Yeah.
In
You're
combat,
right,
it's just
it's an
picks
action
stuff up.
button.
In combat, you can use
Why
it to
would those-
activate your
That's
runic
fine.
ability, but you can't do it on its own
No.
for anything.
Yeah,
So-
every other game I'm used to the circle and evade, but for this one, I don't know. I'm
Get used to it.
I don't have
I know.
Yeah, I get used to it. That's what
Same.
it is.
Like I think I could
And
leave it, but I like
Yeah.
now that I know you can. I didn't even think to look if you could remap the
Yeah,
buttons.
I didn't either.
I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm really good at reading how this game wants me to read its enemies.
Yeah. I'm slowly getting there, little by little.
Yeah, it takes a while. Honestly, I mean, like I said, I'm 21 and a half hours in, and
Did you dial out at the beginning? I had a couple of embarrassing
did.
deaths on like small fights, and I'm like, crap, do I suck?
yeah, there was
real
one
bad?
encounter I told you about. Like, if you remember those wolf man enemies from the first game, they're in this game. And I had a wolf man fight, and there were dog-like creatures that were coming up in every direction, and I couldn't get away from anybody. Like, I couldn't evade to save my life. So I had to lower the difficulty even more because I was already on Give Me Grace. And so I had to lower it to story to get it like, come on, man, I just want to move on.
Yeah.
But that's just, I know I suck at combat, though. That's a limitation I know I have. But now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, okay, now I know, how to move around and slow time and what attachments to use to help me.
Slow time.
in combat.
You can slow time.
Yeah, there's some attachments and stuff that you can. What do you call them? Runes or attachments to your.
Oh, so there's
time.
like,
Yeah.
so
They
there's
got
like,
bullet time?
there's like special like the handles or pommels or whatever that slow time if you dodge, right?
There's a slow time for dodge, and then there's one of the skills that you unlock where you can slow time when you aim, and you can aim at three enemies.
Sweet.
Yeah,
I'm all about I'm all about that witch time from Bayonetta.
And they added way more stuff in this game.
They
for
added
skills
juggling in this, like, which I think really opened up the combat for me. Because
yeah, what do you mean by that? Like knocking enemies up in the air?
Yeah. There's almost like a bar that fills up, and like the more that you use Atreus, like he can put them into a point of like being airborne, and you can get people stuck in the air and wail on them, and it feels very much like a Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or something like that for me.
Mine is jumping up into the air.
I hear everything that you guys are saying, but like I'm on normal mode and I'm having zero issues with the combat. Not that y'all are saying y'all are having them, but not even difficulty wise. I haven't died once. Like it's a game that's like really. Yeah. I understand the language of immediately. Where it sounds like you are now.
Later on,
It sounds like like you are now, Jeff. But I've been doing a lot of side stuff that probably should have been hard. Even when I was looking up stuff like this is a hard battle, and I was like, I breezed through that one.
Have you guys, any of you, Derek might have, but have you unlocked the shield double tap where you double tap L1 and it knocks them back if they're charging up for an attack or something? Okay, yeah, that's a game changer too because that was not in the first game. Where you double tap
I do know when I died.
I think that replaces the kick or whatever.
If somebody comes up to you, yes,
and
that's what
Atreus on the third attempt, which I finally did win that one, he kept going like, "Why aren't you blocking, Father?" And I was like, "Shut up." But that was my problem. Like, I wasn't properly using. I was just trying to dodge everything and start attacking and dodge, and I was like, "This isn't very effective." And I learned as soon as I started blocking, like legit, Atreus was right. I had no problem with that fight when I properly used my shield. Also, I was like, why am I not doing much damage? I know I got to upgrade over time, but I feel like these early enemies are taking forever to die. Well, then I started using, like, switching back and forth between weapons. You got Frost and Flame, and you can boost the damage of both by applying that procking that symptom on them. So if you hit them with frost, if that fills up, boom, then you hit them with flame attacks, their health just goes like real fast. Like as soon as you apply one of them, the other one does tons more. Like it's little things like that I'm like, all right, I just need to pay attention. The game's told me these things. I'm trying to just be like,
there's still a lot I haven't touched with combat. I remember in the first God of War, I was barely using my shield. I was barely. Now I'm like, I keep forgetting all the time. I'm like, bam, bam, like I'm just shoving people away from me, and that double tap really is a game changer for enemies that have shields because you can break their stance and just wail on them.
So Kyle, tell me how you get. Like when you jump into a battle and you got, let's say it's just normal enemies. You got a couple of ranged guys. You got a couple on the ground near you. How do you get a juggle going with a couple of them? What do you do?
So firstly, I usually put my back to a wall because it's super easy to get like surrounded in this game.
Like Derek was talking about.
I'm pretty familiar with that. Like even like Death Stranding. Like a lot of games do this now, where it's like there's an indicator over here, Metal Gear Solid 4. That like is telling you there's a guy over here. Well, now it's red. Now they're attacking. If it's blinking red, that means they're attacking you from afar. And as long as you remember those color codings and pulsations and stuff like that, those indicators, I feel like I know exactly when I need to hit that dodge button, exactly when I need to reposition myself and put up that shield and stuff like that. Yeah. To get someone juggling though, I usually I usually hit them with some heavies and then hit Atreus where square where he shoots arrows at him, and there's a mode if like you hit them and break their bar, which is like they're kind of like where you can hit their R3 to or whatever.
It's like a stance bar.
If they're in the air, they'll float there, and if you can just run right up them as Kratos and just start decimating them in that mode when they're floating or when they're like juggled or being juggled or whatever, you're doing like 2 or 3 times damage.
It seems like R3 activates from any distance, right?
That it does. You start running. If you see R3 from far back, he'll run that automatically.
Right? You're invincible for that whole run. Like as soon as you hit it.
Yeah, the second you hit R3 and the game recognizes the distance, like there's an iframe there. Yeah,
that's cool. I like that.
I do love that the ranged from your companions does. Actually, I feel like it's more valuable in this one where I was barely using it in the first one. This one is like, now you get this type of arrow and this type of arrow, and they have different benefits and different damage properties and stuff. So like, that feels like feels like a lot of game-changing elements in this game.
I did activate the skill with the blades of chaos, where as you're tapping triangle to spin and fire them up.
Yeah.
You can block projectiles. And so it's like I upgraded that skill where it now blocks any kind of projectile coming at you. So if I've got him shooting at me, I just start spinning my blades and then I go after him.
And the axe has a similar one where if you hold down triangle, it like frosts up the blade or whatever. And like these things, they change up combat completely.
And it does a ton of damage.
Like the tenants are still there, obviously, but to have these extra things, even like the rune attacks where you're holding down L1 and hitting a face button, and doing kind of a special or whatever. These are all things that like added extra layers to a combat system that already worked really well.
It's like you didn't need to do all that. It was great.
Yeah, you enhance this game in a way that like feels good and like feels like a natural progression, and I'm seeing a lot of people like docking it for being kind of like, well, 2018 wildest, we've never seen anything like this. This is just that again. I'm like, that's what a sequel is, guys. I don't know why we're
not
you guys, but like I'm talking like IGN and GameScoop. It
is more of the 2018 one, and it's better. Like as far as gameplay, like you can argue whether or not the characters and story is better. That's probably once I finish it, I can have that conversation. I don't know yet. But as far as gameplay and visuals and all of that and the way it feels to play, it's more of it, and it's a better version of that 4-year-old.
And that tends to be what a sequel
is. That's what it should be. That's what I want the next Jedi Survivor game to be. I want it to be.
I don't need Jedi Survivor to be a completely different game. You know what I mean? If it's just more of the same, with like extra layers to it or whatever, like that's kind of.
Horizon Forbidden West was the same thing.
We might, and it's so weird because we might praise it sometimes, the media does, and other times like we use it as a docking, like, wow, it's just more of the same.
Wasn't Last of Us like a better version of the first, like Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
No, we're supposed to hate that game. We're supposed to hate that game.
Uncharted keeps getting better.
The writing in that game is awful, guys. So
Neil Druckmann's terrible. We don't like
Gears of War is a great example too, where each game introduces. It's the same thing. It's a third person. I understand what it says, bro shooter, whatever. Like it's a third person cover based shooter. But they add elements in every game, and by the fifth one, it's like, wow, this is really smooth and actually way more fun. Yeah, it's the same thing, but it's but it's not though. But it's not the same thing. So anyway, I think people who say that just aren't really trying it. And some of the systems, like you said, frosting up your axe, tossing it. I saw there was a group of 3 enemies. I frosted it up and threw it at them, switched to my blades, and did the thing where you aim and do R2, which you can send a fireball like down the chain at them that way. Yeah. And it just did a ton of damage. They all just exploded. And
ton of damage, yes.
That's because I frosted them first.
That wasn't there before, Like it just added all these dimensions. It's so very cool.
Yeah.
You know what is really funny about this game too? We mentioned it, maybe reusing some assets or whatever, or being too similar. There are actually moments where you'll explore a realm, like there's that fire realm. I can't remember the name of it.
It's so you like the training,
Yeah, I guess. And there were empty. I ran into an empty chest. Yes, there we go, Muspelheim. And I ran into an empty chest, and Atreus, it was like, oh yeah, this is where we did this, and I was like, oh my god, they left some empty chests here.
Well, he mentions I think that area earlier on, right?
He does mention it early in the game. Yep.
It's really interesting that they left that stuff in there.
The game does a really good job of like reminding you, because like Jeff was talking about some part with some area and some types of people, and I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And when I finally got there, the game was like, no, you did this in the last game. Remember, we did all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, now that you told me, yeah. But the game does a really good job of reminding you, being like, hey, last time we were here, we did this. There was a big civil war and yada, yada. Like, remember, this is what happened. And it's like, yeah, thanks. I remember that now, yeah.
It's interesting, because something like that I think to me is kind of cool. And I'll use like Metal Gear Solid 4 for example, Kyle, right? There's a certain moment in the game that you go back to a certain place and you're like, holy shit, we're here. Yeah. This is happening right now. And like, yeah, exactly. So something like that happening in God of War, and they're actually like literally pointing it out and stuff like that. I think that's really cool, but I feel like a lot of people find that as like almost like, well, that's kind of lazy and you're reusing assets and you're redoing this and redoing that. It's like, no, I think it's really cool story-wise because it feels like a lived-in world, right? It's like, oh, you're going back to this place because
it's called continuity, yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember Fartholheim having
what now?
as much exploration. I don't remember it having as much exploration as I did in this game. Like, I remember it being a story mission in the first game.
I don't remember going to the Realm of 12.
That's the dwarves in the first game. The war between the elves and stuff.
Oh, the elves. I remember I thought that was Alfheim or whatever.
No, that's Alfheim. What? No, Svartalheim.
The Svartalheim.
Sorry, that's the dwarves. I'm sorry.
Going to Svartalheim was brand new. Like, that was a new city, a new.
Svartalheim was a brand new area.
My bad. So Alfheim, when you go there, that's where all the frustrating puzzles are. By the way, once I left there, I was like, oh, it's back to being a tolerable game puzzle-wise. But anyway, I don't remember it being that wide open because in the first game, I remember it being like, we're here to do this, and the enemies are annoying, and some of the puzzles are obnoxious, have fun. But I don't remember it being like, here's some sandy areas, go ride a sleigh or whatever.
Yeah,
like, I don't remember it being that wide open.
A lot of the areas in the first game, once you left like the main hub, Midgard or whatever, were like hallways or whatever, which is fine,
Yeah,
but, like,
it was great.
And in this game, it seems like when you go to a main area, and the game kind of warns you too, it'll be like, this is a big part of your journey, and you might want to go back and level
your
up.
Companions will say it like 5 times.
So like, so like it kind of alludes to like, hey, I'm about to head into another hub area, if you will. So that's kind of interesting that you're going to get a lot more time to like explore. I'm not excited about
definitely,
those
puzzles.
Definitely.
It's easy to collect items and go from place to place and keep opening chests and kind of forget to upgrade things, but it makes such a big difference. Even just a little boost in defense or in strength, just to upgrade that piece of armor. Maybe you like that armor and you just need a little boost in stats. And it boosts quite a bit.
It boosts a bit. It's not 2 or 3 points. It's sometimes 14, 15, 20 points, like whenever you're... It's really interesting.
And,
how the loop
and
works.
what's his name? That dwarf, just like in the first game, just appears around every corner out of nowhere. He's awesome. He's always got new shops set up.
Like Sentry.
It's all like, how'd you get over here? And he's just like, hey. It's like, okay.
He did. There was actually a part in a mission I just did today where... the dwarf is walking right behind me. I open a door and he's already on the other side of it going, what are you doing? What's taking so long? And Mimir's like, I still got to get used to that, dude. That's so weird.
Dan, what do you think about whether it's combat or just any other first impressions?
Unfortunately, so I wanted to replay the game because I literally have not played it since it came out, 2018.
Wow.
So, I mean,
same here. I haven't either.
I played a big chunk of it this year.
But
okay, yeah, I
really
wanted
a big chunk
to
of it this year on PC.
and it just time escaped me. I was playing other things, like, whatever. And I started streaming recently, so I've been doing more of that. So I had to like rewatch a recap video on YouTube, and I was just like, oh man, like some of this I definitely didn't remember, and it was like refreshing my memory, so that was great. So story wise, then everything in the beginning kind of really hits you. There's a really particular moment in the beginning for me with something that happened. I've mentioned to you guys before, something that happened in my life. I was like, oh, okay, that's really hitting me really hard right now. That's kind of a lot. Story wise, like out the gate, it's like it's hitting you right in the feels. And then, like you said, there's that conversation where he's like, no, and it's, I don't know. There's just
could have told me that before I poured the drink.
Yeah, 2018 God of War grabbed us in such a way that was so surprising, because it was like the 3 original God of War games were just such like meathead, like Kratos just slashing everything.
He's just angry the whole game.
And then like it just really surprised us, and this is just continuing that, which to me is like fantastic, because that game just like blew our minds, and this is just it's somehow even more elevated, like the quality's even more elevated somehow. The acting is phenomenal.
Man, I can't wait for y'all to see some of the cinematics and like really take all that in. Like, it's just kind of going to blow your mind how far they've come, really.
Yeah. Well, so the comparison I was trying to like basically say, because I don't remember 2018. I know it wasn't gameplay wise, like it wasn't not smooth or anything, but this, I don't know, this does feel a bit more, even more smooth. I don't know.
It's 60 frames, Dan, obviously.
So it's all the frames. So frames do matter, guys. So frames do matter.
Each frame makes the combat better.
But yeah,
but I do feel like they are. I agree. I feel like, like I mentioned,
it probably is the frame.
They're using. They're giving me a reason to use the companion and the shield, whereas in the 2018 game I got along just fine, ignoring both. So I mean, yeah, they definitely improved the combat in many areas.
Yeah, and it still feels so good to just hurl that axe at something, and then just watching it like ricochet off of, like you hear the cling off of like a metal like surface, and it ricochet, and then you like press triangle and it comes flying in midair back into your hand. Like,
I love, my favorite is leaving it somewhere really
I'll
far.
Forget about it. Yeah,
just holding your hand
and then summoning it, and you hear. It's so cool, man.
In the Thor movies, right? He's
like in Ragnarok, it's like sorry, and it's just you hear everything wrecking in the background.
Bing, bing, bing. Yeah, just hitting up everything.
Yeah, it still feels great. It doesn't get old. The game just feels great. The combat is great. Obviously there's going to be new elements that I haven't hit yet. Like, I mean, Jeff, you mentioned a weapon that at some point we're going to see.
You're going to see a lot of places as you're exploring. You're going to see a lot of like holes in walls and stuff that you're like Mimir or somebody will say, oh, you don't have the magic for that yet.
Yeah, exactly.
They've said that to me a few times already. Hey, we don't have an item for that or equipment for that.
First area, there's a lot. Right. There's a lot. I'm like, oh, they really want me to come back here and re-explore everything.
Yep. Like I know that there's something with these like this like light brown smoke or steam that's shooting out of these things. And I'm like, there's something I can do to get up there with that, and I can't do it yet. So I guess
there's another thing that you're gonna get that's gonna help you.
There's a thing.
Sure.
There's a doodad.
So I think with Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, released the same year. Some people didn't like but got over how slow it could be when he's walking, or like getting on the horse and the way that's controlled, whatever. I understand that. Like, I don't like that. I want it to control more arcadey, more quick response. I don't care if it's realistic. Like, give me something that just moves quicker. And I'm like, I understand what you're saying. I understand that's your preference. That's not what this is. And if you play it like the way they design it, it works great. And then you just have to kind of like accept this is how they designed it. I feel the same way about elements of God of War, whether it's something with the combat or the way you move around, the way you can't explore everywhere, the way that you're a freaking god who's destroyed the like entire pantheons of other gods, and yet you have to like, instead of this cart where you could hop over it or punch it, you have to like go beside it and like push it real hard and like get out of the way. I'm like, all right,
he's
like,
an old man.
There's certain things that I just accepted, and we've talked about this in the past before too, where it's like
shimmying.
I would the shimmies. I don't think any of that is a detriment to the game. It is clearly purposefully there. Sometimes it's to help you not have to sit and stare at a loading screen. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, those are just ninja loading screens. That's what they are.
It's ninja loading screens. It also adds a moment where you can talk to another character. Sometimes it just depends. Like it's so like I think any criticisms about that I understand.
It's ludonarrative dissonance. It doesn't really matter ultimately. It's just it's there for like because it's a game. You know?
But even at the beginning, the very opening scene, you're controlling these sled dogs, which is a pretty epic scene. We talked about that first major encounter, and there, by the way, there's a second major encounter, which is much more akin to the Baldur fight. Which is also super epic, and I loved it.
And super early, they hit you
super
with that
early. They hit you like back to back. That one's even bigger. The first one's a little more like cutscene, and the second one's more like an actual fight. But with the dog sled and with the boat, it just kind of controls not very realistically. And it's one of those things where it's like you quickly realize like, hey, this is a little bit arcadey, this section. This little segment of you in this chase sequence.
Yeah.
I'm not mad that the game doesn't feel like a dog sled simulator. You know what I mean?
Well, it's much like when an Uncharted game goes, okay, now you're on top of an enemy convoy and you're jumping. Yeah. Like those cars don't feel like they're driving real, you know, like it's an arcade kind of moment, you know. It's
wait, so Kyle, if two cars are side by side and you jump off of it, that car is going to stay with you and you're going to jump over.
And gravity definitely won't have any factor in anything.
Sure.
I mean, it's the same thing with when you're on the boat and it's like you get to a certain point of the shore, you hit shore, you hit circle, and the boat just kind of readjusts itself and then goes onto the shore. It's like little things like that I'm just like, I could see someone who is determined to not like this game pointing out things like that and being like, see, it's not very realistic.
I've also seen, and you brought it up too, the way the levels are designed, so like that. I see a lot of like, wow, it's just like a hallway simulator. I'm like, okay,
not,
I mean, moments are,
hallway.
you know, like when you're trying to like get somewhere because you're on a journey.
I don't know what castle these people grew up in, but my hallways were way simpler. These are super complex, huge hallways.
But and you get to moments that are not hallways anymore. You just don't. There's not a way to go. There's like an open area, you know, and it's like I see what people are saying when they're like, well, you know, it's very on rails, and I'm like, well, yeah, you're on a journey. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've always not understood this like complaint where it's like, well, it just feels like the game's guiding you. I'm like, what? Towards the narrative you're trying to experience? Yeah.
I was gonna say, I actually think that's smart.
I think so too.
Who just released? Oh, it was Bayonetta 3 that said they had originally intended it for it to be open world, and they said they couldn't do it because, well, let's be honest, the Switch.
Yeah, the Switch would have never been able to.
But it would have
exploded in your hands.
Their actual reason is because they said it would impact the narrative too much. Like the pacing would be terrible. So the reason I'm bringing that up is I actually appreciate, and Gears of War 5 was doing this too, Gears 5. And that's, you still have your like, here, follow this path. This will lead you to the next area for, you know, story and blah, blah, blah. But they had in 2 chapters, they had 2 areas that were big that they gave you like a way to like ride around, kind of like in God of War where you're riding on a snow or in one area with the dogs guiding you and you're driving that. It's the same thing in Gears. And you can just explore those areas, and there's a bunch of side content. Now, God of War is way more filled out than Gears. Let me just say that in case somebody's like, oh, Gears 5 didn't do it good enough. They did fine, but this is definitely more. The reason I'm bringing that up is I think this is a perfect mix. This is how games should be. I don't want every game to be open world. I don't want every game to be linear. I feel like this game's going, why don't we just do both? Why don't we have our story? You don't have to be intruded with it. In fact, I was watching a video. They went through every IGN editor who played this game, and they basically had to tell you what difficulty they were playing on, how long did it take them to beat the game, and how much did they like explore, like side content. Everybody was different, and most of them explored a lot, but there was one person that was like, I just went beginning to end. I didn't do any side content. Well, I guess he didn't do any side content after he realized he had to unlock certain tools to do more. So he was just like, forget it. I'm just going to go through the story, get all the tools, then come back and I'm going to do all the side content.
Yeah.
So my point is, I think that's good. That's a good thing that you allow anybody who wants I just want to play the story.
You're being able to take the game at your own terms.
Yes, you feel like you're getting a well-paced story. Or you can get gamers like me, and I think most are like me, that are like, oh, you offer me more? Okay, I'm going to take more.
I can dig my heels in here. And you know, and I think Uncharted 4 really did this well. I think Last of Us 2 really did this well, you know. I think, like, we're living in a world where we're getting those linear / open experiences in the same game. Because The Last of Us 2 has 2 major sections that are like gigantic and open, and like you just go wherever you want to right now, buddy.
I was gonna say, I think all of us acknowledged that. We all really liked Horizon Forbidden West, but the one thing that was like holding it back for our experience was there's way too much crap in there because it's a wide open world. And there's way too much side content, and I finished all the side missions, but there's other stuff that I just left on the table because I was like, that's not important. There's too much of
it. Do you think?
So I don't.
We can talk about this the game of the year, but do you think that actually was a detriment to the narrative for a game that's so cinematic and narrative driven?
No, I think that one was a detriment to the narrative.
Okay,
I'll say that there are shades of like linearity to Horizon because you are just going west, and like you're just opening this section.
That's true.
Like you want to stay within you want to stay within the confines of this one area of the map you just unlocked and whatever, and you can kind of go through it as quickly because like at some point in that game I just said no more side quests and just like far much to the end, and the game never pushed back. You know what I mean? Like it was that's
true.
But
found a good balance,
I will say that there was way too much side stuff in that game to agree with Jeff also, because like there for me, like if I see a marker I'm gonna go to it. I have to. It's just like
it's an OCD.
Part of my gamer. It's a part of my gamer,
Well, you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss something cool.
Imagine missing that Vegas mission. FOMO. You know what I mean? Like it's like that would have sucked. So, like it's just
was the Vegas thing all optional?
But there was a part of it that was main mission. If you hunkered in, you could really get that place jazzed up in a real quick.
Oh yeah, I thought there were like 2 or 3.
There's a main part of it, but then like it adds on to it, like when you can get the lights on and stuff. That was
exactly. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't do that. Yeah, see, like Derek's a good example of it. He didn't see that the first time because like I didn't choose to hunker in here. Yeah. So like I kind of like this new era of gaming that we're leading into, where there's like. Yeah, you're getting a nice hybrid or whatever.
I don't think we had the technology before yet to really be able to do it successfully.
Death Stranding is the same way. You're just going west.
The biggest complaint you ever hear about JRPGs is they go on too long. You always grind. You're doing the same thing over and over. Blah blah blah. And so I think Western RPGs or action RPG games are now getting smarter. They're like, oh, okay, we'll give you a 20-hour narrative. Or you can make it a 60 to 100-hour experience if you want to do a bunch.
And I would
say
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say the only thing, with Horizon, I don't think it was too big and too filler, too much. I did have my problems with Aloy, and so I took that shot there. But it was also the only thing I would say that, in my personal opinion, like if I was to make an open world game, I would get rid of like the wasted filler crap, not the side content. Have the side stories, have the side content,
like have collectibles.
I would get rid of a lot of the collectibles. If you want to have one cool collectible, sure, but
like
not
rare weapons, unique weapons and stuff, right?
Yeah, but not 27 different ones. But I would I like when games put like side quests, like hunting missions, stuff like that, where you get loot, something that matters to the game, not. I picked up this piece of paper 100 different times and 5,000.
I will admit, God of War Ragnarok does have a few of those. Like I mentioned, collecting flowers, that's a real thing that comes up. And there's actually one that's like collecting recipes, but there's only 4 of those throughout the.
But there's also artifacts early on you can start collecting.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I went way out of my way for one thing that I thought was gonna be something cool, and it was an artifact collectible. I was like, oh. Okay,
I know.
I'm still in love with the games. I was okay with it, but it was still a little bit of a fart noise.
I will defend the game for that, and the only reason why is because I don't get mad when I get the artifacts, because I see that at the bottom right it says XP 50. So they reward you like every time you find it.
You're not just collecting an arbitrary thing. You are growing.
In this game, like 50 XP is actually like good. Like any type of XP is good.
I will say
after a fight, I'll say like 7 XP. I'm like, what?
I know. I will say that they've expanded their reward system too with killing Odin's ravens. If you remember that collectible.
There's chests to go to.
There's chests now, and it's like in increments of 7 or whatever. So I've unlocked 3 chests already. And there's good loot in there. There's like armor.
You're killing all the birds. You want me to kill all the birds?
They explain what's happening to them in the game, okay? You're not murdering birds.
Anybody know that reference? We should kill all the birds, right? Anybody know?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna kill these birds.
Kill all the birds? No, don't kill the birds. Kill the birds. Got it.
Sorry, you want me to drown the birds?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Parks and Rec. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see as we all get farther into this game. Most of us, I think, will end up finishing the game. Yes, but then, like, if you listen to the show for any amount of time, we are very honest about it. Like, we don't go into it thinking I'm hyped for this, and regardless of our experience, stay super high on a game. If it's got some drawbacks, we point them out.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so far, I mean, Jeff's the farthest into the game. Derek's also played it a lot. Kyle, Dan, and I have put in a handful of hours. I think we're all loving it. And sure, you can point out things that, like, yeah, I can see why someone might not love that element. Okay, but I am loving it. Like, it is checking all the boxes that I wanted.
Top tier game developing.
Yeah, this is one of the most like pristine, well developed, like flow worthy game. Like, I just all the adjectives I could throw at this. Like, it's just it feels
I only had like 2 actual problems with the game where I had to restart a checkpoint, and when I looked it up, it was like, oh, these are known glitches. Well, it's the first week. It's the first week of launch, and these are big games, so it is a big game. So yeah, I was like, okay, let's give it some grace there, kind of like the game did, I guess.
They're just, I just don't feel this level of coding and like TLC going into moment to moment mechanics, in most video games. Like this game does, Like it's just this is one of those games where it's like, the budget, you actually see it in the game. You know what I mean? It's just not the term AAA isn't just lopped onto this game. This literally is a AAA game.
Yeah.
Unlike in a way we've maybe have gotten since maybe the last God of War. So very very excited to put more hours into it for sure.
I think it's, for me, like, this is a year where there's going to be a lot of bickering and fighting. It really comes down to 2 games. Like, I'm not talking about just our podcast. Like, this is going to be all over social media.
Yeah. Because
this is the first time you're going to hear me say something like this, because I feel like you should just have a clear-cut winner. I really would not be mad if, like, what's the host's name of the award?
Jeff
Keighley.
If Jeff Keighley said, "Screw it, we're giving 2 Game of the Year awards," because these 2 games, to me, whether you like Elden Ring or not, I do not give a shit. Objectively, it is a masterpiece, and God of War, same thing. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you look for things to get upset about it. Objectively,
Keighley won't say any of that.
No, he won't say that.
He's gonna say Kojima gets the Game of the Year.
Derek, as you're saying that,
I'm here for it. Yeah, good job.
Reminding me of 2020, where we got stuck between Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm still stuck between which one I like more, because I love both of those games.
You actually swayed me to put in Ghost as number 1 those episodes. I was like, I think I actually like Ghost more. Holy crap!
Yeah, we landed on Ghost, and I think looking back, that is the one I enjoyed more as a video game that I'd revisit. But that doesn't mean
it for hours. Yeah,
that doesn't mean that Last of Us Part 2 wasn't like everything it should be. It's not like
I definitely misspoke earlier, because Last of Us 2 is definitely on that level of like, oh, this is a AAA game where it's smooth and well designed, and you didn't hear anybody talking about game-breaking bugs or anything like that. It's one of the most well-developed games of all time.
It was QA'd like crazy, man. Like, they just went through every corner, and this is the same experience. I'm sure there's going to be some glitches, like Jeff mentioned, but it's funny as you guys are talking about, like, we want this semi-open world that gives you some options to explore, but you don't have to. But if you do, you're rewarded. And I'm just like, you mean like Metroid and Castlevania have been doing for decades? So, like, I understand why those games are so beloved, because that's the kind of heart they bring. This is doing it on a totally different level. Don't get me wrong, but the core idea of
I remember God of War being compared to like a Metroidvania,
linear story, I totally remember with all those some optional side things, and also some teases of like, see that door or that thing you can't.
I think it's the fact that it's cinematic that my brain did not make the connection.
No, but just the core description of what you're saying, where it's like, give me open world, but don't make it totally open.
The structure of the world.
The structure of the
Put many games use this technique where it's like they show you something early on and you're like, oh, I can't get to it.
I gotta come back to that.
But not every game does it well. Is that fair?
Yeah. Like Arkham Asylum did it really well. That was a very Metroidvania 3D game.
Metroidvania.
Metroidvania. So I think it's safe to say we all hate this game. Let's move on to other stuff.
Let's move on to a better game.
God
of
Snore.
Can I go make a sandwich now?
I'm
We have a
tempted to
special
just
guest
go to talk about
Sonic, and that is Gaston is here.
Yeah,
Oh,
Gaston.
please. Oh, that'd be
welcome.
great,
Welcome,
actually. Is he
Gaston.
really here?
I would love for him to be pop in as a Sonic.
I would love for it. That would be the only reason I care about this conversation.
Yeah,
if Gaston was
Gaston would come in and light this podcast on fire. That's what he did on Sea of Thieves. That's what he would do here.
Literally,
I booted him.
Literally.
Love that guy. All right, so we are going to talk about Game Awards in a minute. That would have been a great segue because you just brought up Geoff Keighley and dual Game Awards. But I do want to talk about the other game that, believe it or not, other games released this week. I want to talk briefly about Sonic Frontiers and if there's anything else new this week. Did anyone play Tactics Ogre Reborn, by the way?
No, not yet.
Okay, I really want
to.
to.
It's getting great.
Yeah, I think we're all not yet. I think a lot of us are planning on buying it.
I'm gonna buy it. I'm just not doing it.
I'm holding out hope for one of the Steam sales to somehow give it like a little bump cheaper.
Ooh, is that deck verified?
It's deck verified.
I think so.
Oh man, yeah, I'm
pretty
totally
verified on that deck.
I think so. Double check that
deck.
though. Fact check me on that one.
I won't. You're just
kidding.
Fact, and I'm just taking it
I won't. Your word is
crap.
Kyle does his own verification.
Yeah. So we don't have any impressions on Tactics Ogre Reborn, although I love that classic series. We are also going to talk about our thoughts on the Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever, but we'll get to that. Black Panther, but we'll get to that later.
Wow.
Okay.
I do not endorse
what a Freudian slip if I ever heard one. Holy crap.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, no, that was a total slip.
That's actually Dan's out.
Dan's out. He quit.
Yeah. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Wow. All right. All right. So Sonic Frontiers, I did decide to go ahead and grab this one.
Oh, nice.
Same here.
Got it on PS5. I only played through like to the first, maybe I think it was the first main boss, maybe second area. I don't know.
Yeah, there's I guess there's 3 or 4 bosses that are like smaller, but they are larger in stature. But then there's like the one huge one that you fight right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yes.
So we fought the same.
Yeah, fought that big gigantic thing.
Yeah.
So I understand why this game is getting some split reviews. I understand why some people are like, I love this. I love Sonic, and this is finally a good 3D version of Sonic. There's been some others that are decent, but finally I really go, okay, I get why you might love it. I also get why some people hate it, because Jeff, you brought this up in our chat. Camera is the worst villain in this whole game, and I agree with you. There's camera issues galore. I also think that for as fast and smooth as it can be at times, when you really get rolling, if you hit it right, it's just like, man, that feels great. When you're going through some levels and you're just like bouncing off enemies and like hitting all the speed boosts, it's like, yes, nailed it. And then there's other times when you think you're doing it right and you just hit one wrong thing and it totally messes up the rhythm. You got to start all over. And I understand that's kind of part of the game. The idea is get really good at running quickly as Sonic and fighting enemies. But honestly, it made it a little bit annoying to me, who I'm not a mega Sonic fan. Like, I don't go after every Sonic game. I've probably only finished maybe one of the older games way back in the day. Like, it's not really a series that appealed to me. Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Sure.
So I'm giving you that context, just to let you know, like, I think this is a really cool version of Sonic. I think it's got elements that look quite good and elements that look a little rough, and that's fine. But overall, it controls well, and it's cool. Like, it's a cool take on
of rough.
Has anyone played? Oh my God, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you've played it, if I was creating this game and I was animating the rain and I was looking at it, I'd be like, you know what? I don't think we're going to have rain in this open world, because that is the ugliest.
It looks so bad.
Terrible animation of rain I have ever seen.
It's still bad in a lot of games, like.
It's really bad.
It's noticeable.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
It looks like it's a glitch in the code, and I understand that's part of the.
Is it just like
part of the story? I think there's like a story element where it's like you're kind of stuck between a digital and a 3D world or whatever.
Right.
But I don't think the rain is supposed to do that. Like, I think they just designed it for it.
Supposed to do
is there I was gonna say something wrong with the Matrix here.
That's what it seems like.
I'm just saying, if I'm making that game, I'm going, you know what? This world you're on, it's always daylight. Always.
Yeah.
So has anyone here played Sonic Adventure and played this and can compare the two?
I did play Sonic Adventure. I won't say I played it a lot, but I did play it. here's the thing. Like, I actually like this game. I won't say a lot, but I like this game.
Because I like Sonic Adventure a lot. Like, and I will.
What did you like about Sonic Adventure? Did you like the levels where you're basically in this 3D world where you're just running like kind of like a time lap?
No, I like that. Like, there were like hub areas to like explore, like in Sonic Adventures, and then it would go into like a level like that. You know? Oh, it's kind of what this is.
This has that. You have like.
But is there like a story too with like cutscenes and?
Yeah.
There are. Okay. Cool. All right.
I mean,
is it good? No, but it's
it's not in that game either. It's really just about it's really just about Shadow shooting guns and chewing scenery in that game. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really it's not really like a good story by any means.
Shadow was in the second Sonic Adventure.
I thought he was in the first one. I thought he was in both, to be honest.
No, he was just in the second.
KRATOS on his Sonic lore. He will call you out.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, I'm the second biggest Sonic fan next to Gaston. So.
I'm coming at.
It's not big enough to play this one.
I'm coming at Frontiers the same perspective that Tim has. I'm not like some huge Sonic fan, but I got it because it looked fun. Like, I was just like, okay, fun. It looks fun, and it is fun. In many regards, it is fun. So I mean,
I was actually I guess this would be okay. Like, when I play God of War, when I first booted up, my expectations are high. When I first booted up Sonic, my expectations were, please don't suck like really bad.
Same here.
So when you go into it like that, like God of War, you're gonna like find things that annoy you, and I did. I found stuff that I was like, you know what? If I was making this game, I wouldn't do this. I'm pissed. Sonic Adventure, I'm playing it, and I'm just like, dude, you guys, like, the combat doesn't suck.
No.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, running around the open world, kind of fun. Exploring, we'll see. Let me keep playing. But overall, I think it's kind of what you're describing, Kyle, where, yes, it's open world, but it just feels like a hub. You don't feel like you can just go endlessly anywhere. At least in the areas I've explored so far, they're kind of limited. Yeah. There's a lot to do, though, and it's a lot of different stuff.
They have a lot of launch pads and things to find up on platforms and stuff like that.
And then you're unlocking, like, to get keys, you have to do these, like, old school Sonic type levels where you're put in a level and you're going
like Sonic Rush or something like that.
It's all full speed, collecting as many coins, red coins,
timing your dodges, your jumps, and
timing yourself. What else? There's like 4 things you're graded on. You can do it as many times as you want to unlock all 4 keys, so then you can move to another area and unlock like a boss battle or whatever. So there's like that. It's set up like an open world, but using Sonic.
It sounds like Sonic Adventure, which I've beaten every Sonic from Sonic 1 to Sonic Adventure 2. Like, that's like kind of my run with Sonic. I grew up a Sega kid. I liked Sonic, you know.
I like Sonic.
To pitch that they're good games, I'm not going to. Like, if you start comparing like Mario to Sonic, like obviously one is a much better like created, platformer, and one is kind of the rock and roll, dumb brother, you know. So
the dumb bad boy.
Exactly.
He's the
he eats chili dogs and puts on sunglasses. He's cool, you know.
Screw you, Mario.
Very much so, you know. But
Sega does when Nintendo.
But I did like all of those games, so it's like I don't even come at this as a Sonic hater. It just like I see this game and I look at 12 years of bad Sonic games that came before it. So it's hard to immediately just be like, this one's it's gonna be great.
I was just
seeing all, and then that's what I'm gonna do. But in seeing all the good, like 7 to 8, like that's way higher than I thought this was gonna be.
I thought it was gonna get 5s. Yeah.
So like it's I believe that people are really enjoying this game, and like.
But the average is still a 7, right? On Metacritic.
It is. Yeah.
There's a lot of low ball ones. Yeah.
Because of those low ones, I will say it is nice to boot up a game with low stakes that actually feels a little bit meditative to play, because it's just like, I can go do this, whatever. There's like, who cares?
Come November.
Whereas Plague Tale Requiem, having just beat that, it's like, this is so apocalyptic and dark.
I just beat that yesterday, by the way.
Oh, did you?
God damn. Oh my god.
Got some feelings, Dan?
Jesus Christ.
Got some feelings.
It's a bummer, right? It's a huge bummer. It's great.
No, uplifting. I feel happy. I feel so happy.
What did you beat? I missed it. Sorry.
Plague Tale Requiem. Yeah, just
okay,
really,
cool.
Really good time. Just really jolly. You know, the jolliest.
Yeah. Well, and to prove that point, like come November, like it's always nice to have like a palate cleanser. That's why it was always nice to like Ford. That's why it was nice to like Forza came out around this time. And you're like, oh, I could just play that and kind of wash away all this like angry dead people journey I went on in Last of Us 2, right. Or this super depressing heart punch of a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 or something like that. It's always nice to have that like November palate cleanse. So it's cool that we have this. It's cool that we're gonna get Need for Speed here in a couple weeks.
Pokemon will do that for a lot of people.
Pokemon is a very big.
Kyle and I are gonna catch them all. We're gonna catch
Pokemon is
nice.
this
100%.
Coming Thursday
next
or
week.
Friday?
Next week.
It's next Friday, yeah.
It's like
this Friday, this Friday, as in this podcast airing, yeah. Mm-hmm. So here in 5 short days.
Yep, it's coming out soon. All right, well, I want to jump over to predicting things for the Game Awards, and we're going to circle back to new stuff we're watching. Don't worry, but I want to get to this first because we talked about Geoff Keighley. Game Awards are coming out soon. Actually, by the time you're listening or watching this, you might have already seen the actual nominees. To be very clear, we're recording this on a Saturday night, November 12th. We don't know the nominees yet. We're going to take our best guesses.
It's not just November 12th. It's 111222. You're welcome.
Dude, it's 111222. I didn't know that.
Is Keighley predicting the end of the world? Is that what...
He is, yes. Yeah.
But yes, Monday they are announcing the nominees, like midday, something like that.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a shared spreadsheet here. We will fill in, and we'll go as quickly as we can. Like, you don't have to explain your reasoning. We'll just pick games. If you don't really have a ton picked, you can copy someone else. That's fine. But the idea is to kind of come up with what you think will be nominated for a handful of these categories.
You're going to hear me repeat a lot of games. That's for sure. I'm going to repeat so many games.
But yeah, it is interesting. This is not my greatest stab at this.
Well, I mean, like Tim gave us those 2 links, and I pulled up whatever that first one was. What was the top games of Metacritic, and I was kind of like, oh wow, okay, so not a lot of like really huge big boy games did come out this year. Like
no.
It was really just a couple that we've mentioned. Derek mentioned a couple. We talked about Horizon. There's only really a handful.
Like a handful, right?
So thank goodness we do 3 then instead of like a full 5 or 6. Or they tend to expand it sometimes when there's a lot.
Yep, absolutely. So what we're doing here, if you're just listening, if you're watching, you can see the spreadsheet here, how we're going to fill this out. If you're just listening, what we've got is each of the 5 of us will pick 3 games that we think will get nominated for a handful of these categories. There's a lot of categories for the Game Awards, but we're just picking out ones that we think are actually interesting or we have a thought on.
And I honestly think like these are like the concrete ones that they nominate every year. Like, as you mentioned, games for impact and stuff, that changes all the time. Like accessibility games, whatever. So
they're like, nothing was impacted this year. We're good.
Yeah.
No impact.
We're fine. All right, so let's just get going here. Derek, what do you think are going to be your 3 picks that are going to be nominated at the Game Awards? This is not Derek picks. You think Game Awards will nominate these for Game of the Year, overall Game of the Year? Let's start there.
They only do 3, or are we just guessing 3?
We're guessing 3, and then we get a point for each we get right.
All right, Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, and I'm going to go with A Plague's Tale, Requiem.
Interesting.
All right. Dan, what do you think?
God of Snore, Ragamuffin, Elden Ring, Elden Ring, and Horizon Forbidden West.
All right. Jeffrey.
Same exact ones as Dan. I'm going to be repeating those 3 a lot, I feel like.
Same as these 3 right here.
You can just mark me down for that too.
So put that as best fighting, best sports.
Those are the 3 that I picked. Those are the 3 that I picked.
Best racing, yeah.
Best racing.
Those are my same 3 too.
Well, hold on, there's racing in Horizon Forbidden West, dude. I don't know, dude.
Jeff, what do you have for best narrative?
This one I changed up a little bit. So God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Plague Tale Requiem.
All right, so basically Derek's picks over here.
Minus Elden Ring, because I don't think.
Duh. Oops, my bad. Horizon. There we go. Okay. All right, so that's narrative. Kyle, what do you think for best narrative, best story?
I did God of War, Horizon, and A Plague Tale.
Hey, Dan.
Ragamuffin. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Nice. Even though I haven't played it, I have.
I agree with that, but they're not. Yeah, they're no one's.
I don't know. I have a good feeling. And Plague Tale.
Well, I feel like we're considering they're going to nominate 5. I feel like there aren't a lot of stories being talked about this year, so Xenoblade does have a chance this year. I feel like. I don't know.
God, that would be wonderful to have it recognized at all.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna pick some shit like Stray, and everybody's gonna be like, okay, I guess.
That I feel big time.
That would be amazing.
I feel the need to be a little different here, so I am gonna go God of War. I mean, so that's not different, obviously, but I am gonna go out on a limb and say, again, this is nominations, not winners.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say The Quarry might get nominated for.
Nice.
Oh, I love that.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
No, I love that.
Listen, that's very likely to lose me a point, but I'm just trying to be a little different. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. I think that's a really good.
They're gonna at least, they're gonna at least nominate that.
So, Derek, what do you think will be nominated for best narrative?
I'm gonna go the same 3 as Tim, but just know I want Xenoblade Chronicles 3 there.
I would think it'd be cool if it got.
We are on the record, Derek and I.
Yep.
Best narrative.
On the record.
Or it deserves to be nominated at least.
I'm trying to find my. Sorry, I'm trying to use my phone with my nominations here. Okay, so best art direction. I'll go first this time. So I think for art direction, again, listen, I know it's not fair, but it's just an easy pick. I think God of War is going to be picked for best art direction, or at least nominated. I think Tunic could be nominated for that. And I'm going to go with, because I had like 5 options, and I don't know which 3 I was going to go with till just now.
I love your out of the box
neon white.
You could be right, and it would pay off.
I could be way off here, but best art direction,
I'm
going to go with Stray.
That's good.
I feel like that has
a good choices. Yeah.
Derek, let's go to you. We're kind of doing a snake draft type thing here. What do you think?
Neon white.
Yep.
That's a good pick.
God of War.
Yep.
And then art direction.
You can come back to it if you want.
Let's do Tunic.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
So I went. I was kind of thinking along the neon white sort of perspective, like the unique art style. So I did neon white.
Okay.
Cuphead in the Delicious Last Course.
Yeah, they're not. By the way, we should mention the Game Awards aren't afraid of nominating major DLC as award winners. So that's a good call. What is it in the Delicious Last Course?
In the Delicious Last Course, and then
to this day, one of my favorite art directions in any video game ever.
It's so
good. Oh, absolutely.
Want to throw that out there?
I agree with you.
And Cult of the Lamb, because I think
that's a great pick. That's a great pick.
I had it on my short list. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Kyle, what do you think here?
So I have 2 boring ones: Elden Ring and God of War. I just think that people are going to choose for those. And then my fun one,
likely, yeah.
My fun one: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge.
Ooh. Nice. That's awesome. I love that.
Jeff, what do you think?
Mine are very basic. It's just the same 3 that I picked for Game of the Year. I feel like I treat this category like the Oscars does Best Director, and just nominate the same ones, basically.
I think for monster design alone, I wouldn't be surprised, and for environment design, I could see Elden Ring getting nominated for sure. Same with Horizon. Yeah, I can see all those things. Best score and music. Kyle, we'll start with you, and then we'll do Jeff. What do you guys think for score and music?
I chose Elden Ring again, and then Lego Star Wars, and then Horizon.
Cool.
Okay, and Jeff, what do you think?
God of War Ragnarok, Snore Horizon.
Good one.
And
good one.
Don't forget, this game qualifies this year, Halo Infinite.
Oh man.
No. Forgot. Dang. That's
totally
definitely I just want to be on record. That's definitely best music right there.
But you know what's funny is we'll get to it with action, but the only one I think it might get nominated for is like best action game, which I think is sad because of the December release. But whatever.
I forgot that it was.
Yeah, I totally forgot about
that. Anything.
But it could score and music would be.
This is the only one I ended up picking it for.
Beautiful.
Oh, never mind. You're right. Action. You're right.
Dan, what do you think?
All right. So, I mean, this first one is just more kind of like I hope, because I think it did have excellent music. Geofield Chronicle. Really enjoyed the music in that game.
That's the one. I was racking my brain. I was like, was it Xenoblade or some other JRPG?
Yeah.
Xenoblade has some of the again. I just don't think it's gonna get nominated, but that's my favorite soundtrack of the year.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
so
it's fantastic.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't crazy when you were talking.
I guess also another personal choice because I hope it also makes it Metal Hellsinger.
Oh, that makes sense though. I mean, that
rocks hard.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Yeah,
it's also an indie game, and they love to give indie games.
Dude, yeah, that's almost guaranteed.
I think that's absolutely
and
guaranteed.
God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah,
dude, Bear McCreary is just effing killing it in this game, dude.
I'm gonna go with The Plague's Tale, Metal Hellsinger, and I'll go with as a safe one, Elden Ring.
Okay, interesting.
Jeff's like, that's not safe.
I don't know anything about the score, so I don't.
The score's really good in that game.
It's absolutely stunning. Yeah,
yeah,
it's really good.
Pretty much out of this world, though.
And Brave.
Very brave.
No, it's just stunning. It's not brave. It's not brave.
I think you have to be brave to face it sometimes.
You have to have
the braveness comes from you, not
brave.
the music.
Right, so I'm going with Horizon and God of War for score, but my kind of out on the limb pick is going to be Kirby. No, wait, wasn't Kirby with score? No. Yeah, it was Kirby. Yep.
Oh, okay.
I don't even remember that score. It's great game though.
I still love that I bought that
Fantastic
game and did not even open it.
I think
God damn you.
Sure, Kirby could also get a nod for something else outside of like family game, for maybe like action adventure. It could get a nomination, but I'm putting it in for score music. I listened to a couple of tunes this week just to be like, am I wrong? No, it's orchestrated. It's nice. It's like Mario Odyssey style. Best performance. So this is voice and motion actors in some cases, but voice actors. I'll go first this time. I've got. This is going to take a while to type in. But I've got Charlotte McBurney as Amicia.
Yeah.
And listen, I know there's multiple actors who cover this actress.
Dude,
in multiple languages and stuff.
She did not phone it in, like, at all.
Every time she was looking around and things were going poorly, and she just goes, "Lord," I was like, "I know."
If you took a shot every time she said "Lord," you'd be dead by chapter 3.
It's so true. It's so true. I'm gonna go with Ashley Birch.
Of course.
And she's got 2 main roles this year that I think she might get nominated for. Tiny Tina.
I had it in my head that like she's gonna get she might get nominated for both, or it might be a slash or something.
But she is
I could see it being a slash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be like Ashley Birch and then just God of War Ragnarok, like 4 actors. Like when you see the other actors and what they're doing in that game, oh my god, dude.
My boring pick is Christopher Judge as Kratos in God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, I mean,
Derek, what do you think?
You can just give me the same 3.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, so Charlotte McBurney, like you said. No, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Noshir Dalal. He's Katalo from Horizon Forbidden West, because Katalo is.
How do you spell that? Help me out.
Noshir Dal. Katalo is fantastic. That
amazing.
character is amazing.
Yeah. Great.
I could listen to that guy just talk.
Agreed.
For a while.
Okay. You're gay.
Oh, that's the dude. Okay, that's
listening
the...
to me.
He's the
guy. I forgot. Derek doesn't like talking.
Yeah.
He's
got one arm. Yeah, he's got one
talking
arm.
equals gay, guys. I don't know if you
Last
know
one.
that.
Who else do you think, Dan? Anybody else?
Sorry. Kratos. Christopher Judge. Yeah.
Thank God for copy and paste. Okay. Kyle, what do you think?
I'm actually just going with year 3, Tim. That's kind of what I had written down. I assumed that the girl from A Plague Tale was killing it, so
she indeed did kill it. And now if she doesn't get nominated, that's too bad, but it's not like there's no other performances worthy. I just think hers is
I just can't believe none of you guys aren't picking like Nightwing from Gotham Knights or something like that.
Actually, you know what, man? I gotta say,
I'll be honest. That voice acting was a little.
Voice acting was shaky in that game.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, what are your picks here?
I initially had the same as you, Tim, but the further I got into God of War, I think Sonny Suljic as Boy is going to get nominated over Amicia.
I think they both got nominated in the first game. So
wow.
How do you say it?
Suljic.
He's Atreus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Ashley Birch and then Christopher Judge. I feel like it's
Ashley Birch?
Not Tiny Tina.
yeah.
She got nominated as Aloy.
Mine not Tiny Tina either. Please put Aloy for me. I'm sorry.
That'll make a difference.
Yeah, I'm glad he said something.
And if she ends up getting like both, where it's like a slash situation, hey, yay, we both get like a point.
Yeah, we can work that out whenever.
You said Christopher Judge was your third one?
Yes.
Jeff? Right.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like he's gonna win, dude. It's no question to me at this point.
He did last time, so
yeah.
Wait, did he win or did Arthur win? No,
Arthur won. You're right. I remember
Arthur won.
Yeah, Arthur. I remember his speech because he went up there and he was Australian, and I was like, "The hell is this?"
Yeah. He's not even a real cowboy. Even though
he's not a real cowboy in real life.
Not even an American cowboy.
Jeff, what indies do you think might get nominated?
Indies, I picked Sifu, Stray, and Tunic.
You can just copy that over. That's what I had to.
Yeah, those are like the most obvious ones to me. And Cult of the Lamb should be up there too, I imagine. At some point.
All right, so Kyle's got the same three. Dan, what do you think?
Sifu, Stray, and Beacon Hills. That game.
Pines?
Beacon Pines.
Sorry, yeah, Beacon Pines. Yeah, sorry.
Fake fan.
That game is shockingly good.
All right, I'm gonna go with Immortality.
Yeah, that seems like a Game Awards game.
I'm gonna go with Ollie Ollie World and Metal Hellsinger because it won something. It got nominated. It got recognized for something.
I will say, if they're only going to do 5, I feel like it'll be Sifu, Stray, Tunic, Immortality, Ollie Ollie World, because those are the ones that keep coming up.
Does Teenage count? I wanted to put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on mine, but
I don't think they'll count that.
I could be wrong. Maybe it is considered an indie. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it's Konami, right? So I don't know about the dev, but
yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I
don't know. If it's Konami, it's a no. They won't count that as indie.
Derek, what would you pick for the
Metal Hellsinger, Cult of the Lamb, and Tunic?
Those are good picks.
Actually, I want to change out Stray for Ollie Ollie World. Stray looks a little too AAA now that I'm thinking about it.
How dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you insult Stray?
I'm just thinking of like, how are the voters gonna? Whatever, doesn't matter.
All right, so for best action game,
by the way, Neon White probably should have been.
Yeah, that's a good place to put Neon White there.
Anybody changing it?
No, I like my 3.
It's too
my 3 for best action game are Neon White, Bayonetta 3, and Halo Infinite.
Okay.
Derek, what do you think for best action game nominee?
Bayonetta 3, God of War, Elden Ring.
This is where it gets this is where it gets dicey because they'll nominate
I feel like
all kinds of stuff.
They tend to not cross-pollinate nominations, so I don't think those last two will get nominated here.
They might, but they'll put them weird stuff for RPG sometimes too. So I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Dan? You'll see.
For action game.
With my nominees is what I'm saying. Not.
So Bayonetta 3, Sifu. And then I had something else, but can I change it to Halo Infinite? Because I totally forgot that existed.
Whatever you want to do, man.
So Halo Infinite just seems like an obvious one. So.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you think?
I have the same 3 as Dan.
All right.
Sifu.
Kyle?
Sifu, Bayonetta 3, and Tiny Tina's.
Tiny Tina, good call on that one. That one definitely could get a pick right there.
I hope it does. Tina Tinies.
I know.
The tiniest.
Dude, I am so zonked. Like typing is a struggle for me tonight. All right. Best action adventure game. We're gonna start with Kyle this time. What do you think is gonna get nominated for action adventure? This nebulous genre.
Yeah.
Well,
Jeff,
why don't
you take it away and tell me what the difference is here?
What'd you say, Derek?
Yeah, because you have best action adventure and best action.
I don't. They do.
Well, I don't want God of War and Elden Ring. Let's do Sifu. I'll do Halo Infinite. I don't think that will win it, but whatever.
All right, so you can start with action adventure. Do you want God of War and Elden Ring?
Yeah, I want them there.
Would y'all say action adventure games are more explory? Like I don't like.
I think
like a Zelda, like Zelda, right? You know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think so. What do you think, Derek?
God of War was here last time.
What's your third one, Derek?
Tunic.
Okay. And then Kyle, what do you think for your 3?
You said God of War was here last time, Jeff? Okay, well, God of War for 1 then.
And so was
Stray. And Horizon. No, because that's not gonna have action at Stray. Let's just do. Oh my God, I do not understand this one. Let's do Horizon. Let's do God of War. Let's do Elden Ring. Let's just do safe stuff.
Jeff, what do you think?
I actually had what Kyle put initially. God of War, Horizon, and Stray, because Stray more for the adventure side than the action side.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, Elden Ring, Horizon, Ragamuffin.
I like how that's the new like Death Poop and No Man's Trash.
So dumb.
And now it's Ragamuffin. All right, so I do have God of War. I do have Horizon Forbidden West, but then I'm going with A Plague Tale as a dark horse to get into action adventure.
I almost had it there, dude. Yeah.
I
feel like the hard-on is stronger for Stray.
Yeah. All right, best RPG. I'll go first. I've got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 here. I hate having to type out Chronicles all the time. Okay, 3, and then I've got. I think they're going to nominate Elden Ring.
Yeah.
As an RPG here.
Yeah.
And then I think they're going to put in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak.
Probably.
Because Monster Hunter Rise previously was nominated as the best RPG in the past for Game Awards. I think Sunbreak
and I've heard good things about that. So
it'll get recognized as an individual game. So Derek, what do you think for RPGs?
Xenoblade, Elden Ring, and then I'm just gonna put Dio Field.
Okay. Dan, what do you think?
So 3 games that are actually RPGs, as opposed to things like Elden Ring, which is an action game with RPG elements. Xenoblade Chronicles...
it's not in-depth RPG at all. Totally accurate. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely not stat based.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
A little bit.
That's why I say with RPG elements. That's why I say with RPG elements.
You said Xenoblade.
Those are more than elements.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
And they're gonna school you when it gets nominated. For
Xenoblade Chronicles. Well, good thing there's 5, and I'm just choosing 3.
That's true. Yeah.
So Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus.
What'd
That's
you
a
call
good
me?
one. That's a good one.
What'd you call
You're
me?
an Arceus.
Screw you, Arceus. Legends, The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero.
No, nobody gives a shit.
Okay, you don't like Trails?
You don't like Trails?
I do like them, but
you like to hike?
No.
Go hiking on Trails.
Jeff, what do you think here?
I have Elden Ring. Hold on one second. And Pokemon Legends Arceus, and
that's a good one. I'm surprised by that.
Xenoblade. Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
What do you think?
Elden Ring, Trails in the Sky, or Trails whatever, Trails from Zero, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Bloodborne was nominated for Best RPG and not Action.
I know. I remember. Yeah,
I knew what I was doing.
FromSoft games.
They consider
RPGs.
them hard RPGs.
So eat it, Dan. Eat it.
I mean, they're wrong, and that's fine. You know, it's fine.
They're the committee.
All right. So
okay.
For fighting games, I've got Gigabash.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
We can just be making up names at this point.
No, that's that Kaiju game. That's that Kaiju game.
I'm telling you, I think people
actually want to get that. Yeah,
people like that game. Multiversus and then King of Fighters 15.
Kaiju is a slur, Dan. They prefer to be called vertically impaired.
Vertically lizards, giant
Derek,
lizards.
do you have any thoughts on fighting games here?
Wasn't there a game released like Duel or whatever?
Yeah.
Yep. Had that on the list.
And then I'll do King of Fighters.
Okay.
And then I don't know what Gigabash is, but I'll do Multiversus.
Mine's the same as Derek's if you just want to copy that.
All right. Dan, what do you think?
King of Fighters 15, Multiverses, and DNF Duel.
And Jeff?
I'll just say the same as Derek.
I will.
They're like the only 3 for sure.
No.
Gigabash is a great choice.
Instead of DNF Duel, I'm picking Lego Brawls. And,
Go Brawls. There you go.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't know if it was well received at all because these are.
I don't know either,
games, but yeah, the rest are the same.
Seems like the kind of thing that
they
do. Though.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff. What do you think for family games?
Kirby Forgotten Land, Sonic Frontiers, Splatoon 3. Do those make sense? Do families play those?
I think they.
Yeah.
I think so. Kyle, what do you think?
Those three as well. It's in fact, instead of Sonic Frontiers, do Multiverses.
Shit, was Best Family there the entire time?
Yeah.
I didn't have it either, so
that's so weird.
Me and Dan are working off of a different Excel.
You guys don't.
Yeah, apparently.
Family. That's why.
There it is. That's the answer. There you go.
All right, so I'm gonna go Mario plus Rabbids.
Ooh, that's good.
Hold on a minute.
No,
dude, gotta save that one, brother.
I'm like almost at the end of Kingdom Battle. That's not a family game. Fuck that game. It's too hard.
Fuck that game.
Even on easy mode, it's too hard. Like I yell at the game. I'm like, this is supposed to be for kids.
You're always yelling at games. You're always
Nintendo Switch Sports is a good pick.
I'm going Mario plus Rabbids, Splatoon 3, Nintendo. I'm going all Nintendo because that's usually who owns this category.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's
all right. So copy your bottom two. I'm anti that shit being kid friendly, and then Multiverses.
Okay, and Dan, what do you think?
Shoot. Yeah, because I didn't have.
You can just copy what's on here. Any of these that
so
jump out
we'll do Kirby.
Okay.
That's a good one.
The Nintendo Switch Sports.
Okay.
Good one too.
I guess Multiverses.
Splatoon 3 is
we're really thinking about this. That's good.
I feel like Splatoon 3, might be a little too I don't see a parent wanting to play it.
Sports and Kirby are really good ones.
Best family, all you have to do is go, what does Gaston like? And that's what you fill it in.
Dan, what do you think for Sim Strategy? We're almost done if you guys are listening. We're almost at the end of the list here. Sim Strategy, what do you think?
Geofield Chronicle, Triangle Strategy, and Tactics Ogre Reborn.
I wonder if it made it. Because that would have definitely gotten nominated for sure.
What do you think, Jeff?
It's anything that came out before next Friday.
Anything that came out before next Friday? Okay.
Yeah, I had to look it up. On the last category, I want to go ahead and remove Sonic Frontiers and put in Multiverses. I was basically Googling, did Super Smash Brothers get nominated in 2 categories for Best Family and Best Fighting? It did. So
it did?
Yeah.
Some Multiverses.
I would not play with my family.
It won Best Fighting and something else won Best Family.
It's a good way to tear apart a family.
But anyway, Sim Strategy. Sim Strategy. I went with Mario plus Rabbids, Triangle Strategy, and 2 Point Campus.
Okay, Kyle, what about you?
2 Point Campus will get
Mine was
nominated.
actually the same thing. I was reluctant to put Mario's and I was reluctant to put it in there, but if other people are thinking that strategy.
I think Kingdom Battle did get nominated last
I'm here for it.
So I have those same 3. I've got, except for Triangle, I don't have that one. I have Total War, Warhammer 3.
Oh, that's a good call.
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one.
I don't trust 2 Point Campus. Can you remove 2 Point Campus and put Total War?
I don't trust.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Total War is a good. That's a
2
really
Point Hospital
good
did not get nominated at all, and I'm like,
it didn't. But I think it was like a slow build to that being recognized even by anybody, and then by the time it did, it wasn't. It was kind of a weird delivery.
If there's 5 categories, there are not very many strat games this year, so
yeah,
there aren't. Yeah.
And Derek, what do you think?
Mario plus Rabbids, Geofield, and Tactics.
All right, and last but not least, sports and racing. Derek, you got any that come to mind?
Gran Turismo 7. What the hell do they normally put in these? I can't think of anything else that came out.
Does Madden ever make
Madden?
You can wait
FIFA,
if you want.
Yeah.
I'll
MLB.
wait.
All right. So I've also got Gran Turismo 7. Does anyone not have Gran Turismo 7?
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah.
It's gonna win. It has to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I also added in Mario Strikers.
Yeah, I had that too.
Oh yeah.
Good choice. Yeah.
I actually like that game. I'm the only one that bought it.
And then my third one, I know it's a dark horse pick, but it's just been my favorite sports game by far this year is Retro Bowl.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Root for the little guy.
Give me Mario Strikers.
Give me Mario Strikers as well. I'll take that one.
Same here.
Wasn't there a Mario Golf game that came out this year?
That was last year.
Oh, was it last year? Okay. Wow.
Jeff loved that game.
Game of the year.
Dan, you have any other ones besides Gran Turismo 7 for yours?
So my first one was Who Gives a Fuck, because sports are dumb.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
That's my favorite.
MLB The Show 22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gran Turismo and Ollie World.
Ollie. I almost put that one, but
I'll put Ollie World for my third. That feels good.
All right.
Good job, Dan. That's a great one.
Appreciate it.
What's your third one, Jeff?
FIFA 23. It gets nominated like every year.
Yeah, let's do FIFA. It's actually a good game.
All right, so there's our guesses. I won't recap them. There's too many to read, but we'll see next week when we record how we did, see who gets the most points on our nominee predictions. Well done, everybody.
All right. Wait to be right again.
You were right last year.
To be fair, you were literally like researching this, and you're like, they nominated this before. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
he's got like a beautiful mind.
Dude, I told y'all I love award season crap. I just do. I don't know.
You do love awards.
I pictured you like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, where he's got the board and he's like got the cigarette and he's like, what we gonna do here? There is no Shelly in HR or whatever her name was.
God.
Sharon.
Is it Sharon in HR?
I think it's Cheryl or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
God, he has two moments like that because then there is that literal beautiful
or
mind
Carol.
episode.
Maybe it is Carol. I don't remember. I don't know.
It might be. I think it might be Carol. That Carol.
Carol. There is no Carol at HR. Yeah.
Hey, before we talk about stuff we're watching, including the new Black Panther movie, I want to talk about. Just mention. I forgot to mention it last week. The Entropy Centre, which Jeff is the one who told me about this game. He did play the demo for it a while back, and. So I did buy it. I got it for like $15 on CD Keys. It is a pretty good looking game. It's like a Portal. I mean, it's definitely a love letter to Portal. Like it's people who made this game love Portal because it even has the idea of puzzle rooms and it's an apocalyptic scenario and only AI is around to talk to you. So like all of those elements are like, oh, so it's Portal 3? Like it's not, but it's very Portal-esque. But there's no portals. You're not creating doorways. You're instead controlling time. And so like the movement of things over time, you have a gun, again, a very Portal-looking gun that has a little AI face that's talking to you. And then you can rewind things. So if you see like a crumbled wall or a pathway, for example, you aim it, it'll highlight orange as soon as you look at it. You aim at that, it'll rewind and put it back into place. So now you can go up those stairs and move on. And then, of course, the puzzles get really complex where it's like, move this cube onto this button, but then that'll open this door. But then by the time you get past that, you need that cube to be back where it was originally on a different button. So you have to like carry the cube in the order, the reverse order sort of that you want it to go. And then you have to aim your gun at it and then like make it like float backwards through time, Tenet style. You know,
it's Tenet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it gets really, really complex because some of them are like, there's like launcher buttons. There's the things that make you jump real high. Like it's not just cubes. It starts to become more and more complex items that you have to, okay, I need to place the button here first because then I need it to move back over here for me to bounce off of to get across that thing. So
I feel so smart when I solve those puzzles, especially when it's like, you got to move the box from one button or whatever to another, whatever you want to call it, platform to another. And then I'm like, oh, I got through the door. I'm such a genius. And then the next one's way too hard.
Yeah. They have ones where it's like put it on a platform and then stand on the button to make that platform with the box on it move and then let it go back. And then you have to get the box, put it back on here. And then like there's just a way you have to rewind it to go back to that button later.
Yeah.
Like
and you only have like so many seconds of rewind. I think it's like 8 seconds or something. Yeah.
So
it can be brutal, but it's fun. It's got personality like Portal does. The gun has like a smiley face on it and talks and stuff.
And it'll even say like it senses that your stress levels are high. Initiate like comfort. Hi, how are you doing today? Like it has that like tongue-in-cheek dumb AI that's saying everything to you, but it's not nearly as nefarious so far. The AI isn't as nefarious as in Portal, where in Portal the AI tells you pretty regularly how much it wants to kill you.
Or how much you suck,
and how much you suck, and how you had a birthday party but no one came because no one loves you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it even has a birthday cake. Do you guys all play Portal? That game freaking rules, man.
Yeah, I'd have someone carry me through it because I'm too stupid. But
Portal 1, just that's almost like a demo with how short that game is. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
By the time you get to the end, it's just so funny.
I let my friend play it on my Orange box, or is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah,
Orange box, like on the Xbox 360 or Xbox, whatever it came out on, just to get the achievements or whatever.
Yep.
And I loved it. I was like, I would never be able to figure any of this out. But like, this is so fun and so funny. And
I mean, I can't recommend those games enough. The first one's great. The second one is so much better. It's so good.
Yeah, even when you're the even when you're the dumb one in that team of two, like when someone tells you what you need to do, like it still blows your mind. Like, what? Like, or at least for me, you know, like it totally, you know.
And so this has some of that same sense of satisfaction, like Jeff was talking about when you finish an area. So Entropy Centre, I do recommend it if you like the Portal games. And then I played the demo for the last hero of Nostalgaia. It is a very interesting looking game because you are literally a stick figure made out of very large pixels. What's so funny though, and I actually laughed out loud because I didn't know that's what your character looked like. I just kind of started up the game, and it goes to a character customization screen, and it has all these different meters to set, like your jawline and your eyebrows and all that, but nothing changes because you're a stick figure. So you can do, and it even says it even says endowment, like it has all the thing, like it has all the things you could ever want, and you edit it all you want, but your character still looks the same. It's
God.
I laughed out loud when I realized that. I was like,
so dumb. I love
you
it.
can change like your skin color and your hairstyle. Like it says you're changing it, but you don't see anything on your character is still just standing there as a stick figure.
That's funny.
So I liked that, and I could tell right away. All right, this is clearly a fourth wall breaking, silly game, and it is, but it is a Souls-like. It is a very strong Dark Souls style game where you have checkpoints that if you die, you need to get back to where you lost all of your resources. Otherwise, they're going to be gone if you die again. Like it's very brutal in that sense. You know, it plays very much like it feels like someone loved the way Elden Ring played and wanted to make a game that kind of played like that. So it plays a lot like Elden Ring did. It's like an indie version of that. So it's interesting. I like the humor in it, but I don't think it's nearly going to be as balanced or as in depth as a FromSoft game. It's an indie game. So there's a demo for it if you want to go try out the last hero of Nostalgaia. It's like nostalgia, get it? But
get it, guys. Hey
get
guys,
it, everybody,
get it? See, I don't know if you got it, so I'm gonna have to.
Let's dig in.
Let's dive into what that really means.
Let's totally not do that.
I don't
All right,
want
so
to dive into anything.
Well, Kyle just left. He had to step away. I was going to ask about your thoughts on Black Panther. Jeff, we'll start with you then, and when he comes back, he can give us his thoughts. So, of course, don't worry, everyone. Spoiler-free thoughts on the new Black Panther movie.
Well, I'm white, so obviously I didn't like it.
Wait, spoiler alert right there. Jeff is.
No, I actually liked it a lot. They had quite a mountain to climb on this story with Chadwick passing and them electing to not recast him. So that was very much a huge part of the movie where, you know, T'Challa in the movie, like he's dead, as the trailers allude to. Like
they have like a memorial service clearly happening. Yeah,
it's at the very beginning of the movie. And so that kind of like leads to a weird period of grief that all the characters are experiencing. Like there's kind of a time jump a little bit after he passes, and there's no the reason that the Black Panther's barely in the trailer, like the costumed Black Panther's barely in the trailer, is because there's really no Black Panther for like most of the movie. Because that's what they chose to do. They were just like, you know, whatever, you know, that was T'Challa, and now he's not here anymore, so we're not going to move on with that.
It's about grief, right? So the movie is essentially just about the grief.
Yeah, pretty much. There's like two stories being told at the same time, kind of, where it's about them grieving and trying to figure out the power structure and what they want to do in Wakanda, basically, how they're going to process that grief, specifically Shuri, because she's not handling it well. And then there you have the Namor side, which is a totally new world to us. And
another hidden city that no one knew about. How many more?
Nobody knew about it.
It came up. It came up before.
Came up. There were shout outs about like there was an earthquake underwater or whatever.
There was some breadcrumbs, I guess.
Yeah, there's some breadcrumbs a little bit, and then they just go, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to investigate that.
Yeah, we actually haven't worked out the rights with Universal on that one
yet.
Yeah. So
hold on.
Sure.
Hold on there.
There, dude.
I didn't mean to do that to you guys again.
Hold on a second, dude.
God damn it.
Put the hand in the face. Sorry.
Would you say there's a lot of water in this movie? Is there a lot of water in the movie?
There is a lot of water. There's a lot of water.
Quite a bit of water.
And they immediately make him distinct from Aquaman. Who Aquaman, the way that they cast him, he was supposed to be like just some, you know, white dude with blonde hair, right, from the comics. But the way that they cast him as a Pacific Islander, Jason Momoa in DC, kind of forced Marvel to go, well, we have to tell the story differently, because Namor is a Pacific Islander in the comics. Like, so what are we gonna do? So they changed it to make him based in Mayan mythology. So everything you might know from Mayan mythology, he actually brings up sometimes when explaining his origins.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which I thought was really
very
cool.
And it works very well, I would say.
Absolutely. And he's the type of guy who are like, he mentions how long he's been around and the things he's seen. And he's the type of person who, even in the comics, he's this way, where he's just a dick. So like anytime
he's
perceived wrong to be wronged, his community is compromised, whatever, he overreacts. He is. Yeah. So he's kind of an a-hole. And it's
so in broad strokes, this is a struggle that they're always going to have introducing new characters and new cities and civilizations in Marvel, because we've been around Marvel for a few decades now, and it's like, oh, okay, where have they been? Yeah. So like, how do they do overall? Like, are you happy with how they explained not only how they've been hidden, but how they have stayed so separate from all the activity that's been happening on Earth for so long?
Yeah, I would say it's a really good way to explain why this city or civilization is the way that it is, you know. And they spend a lot of the movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes. They have a lot of time to explain a lot of things.
And like Kyle mentioned, like this is really a story about two nations that are both pretty well off, technologically speaking, or at least their civilization is, but they prefer to be disconnected from the rest of the world. Because they're paranoid or something about the rest of the world wanting too much of their resources and stuff.
Makes sense.
They're parallel nations in a sense, and that makes it definitely a compelling movie.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of the mirrors that the two civilizations, via the trailers we see are kind of at odds with each other. And they do a really good job of being like, yeah, well, y'all are kind of the same coin, two different sides of the same coin or whatever. And they did a really good job. I liked Namor quite a bit. I'm not familiar with that actor, but
me neither. I think he was in Narcos or something.
He was cool. I really enjoyed him. And I think that there's some cool stuff going on with Shuri, because she's such a science person that like tradition doesn't mean maybe as much to her as like some other people. And I think that there's a nice journey there for that character. Which I think, giving her such a big part, because like the story's focused a lot on her, the Wakanda side of the story, and the Queen for that matter. Goodness gracious, Jeff and I were talking.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Angela Bassett
was so amazing in this. So I would say that the Queen and Shuri like really carry a lot of the story, and Okoye, to an extent. But like, it made me believe. I'm like, oh yeah, like Shuri's like a really strong actor. Like she was really holding that movie together on an emotional level, because
that's good.
She's a good core to that movie. And again, Angela Bassett like really shows up, and
she's
she's
unreal.
She's a relative unknown. It's nice to see her get a break.
Yeah, I feel like she's never gotten her time.
It is. Well,
but they finally let her. Like in the first movie, she didn't really get the amount of range that she was given.
Yeah, it was T'Challa's
show.
Yeah,
it was T'Challa. It was. So that was really cool that T'Challa's out of the picture. Now you have like 3 or 4 other people from Wakanda who are now like taking center stage and really being able to like hold the weight of what T'Challa left behind. And I think that was a big worry for a lot of people, including myself, with this movie, is like, how big of a vacuum did he leave behind? Well, everyone who needed to step up did, and the movie is all the better.
I love that they leaned on M'Baku. I think that's Winston Duke's character.
He's
I'm so remiss to bring him up. He's
Okoye
so amazing in this.
And him are like, they have like the best comedic timing in the movie, and it was cool to see them get those moments, because they didn't really. I mean, aside from one moment in the first movie where M'Baku was like, "Did you think we were going to eat you?" or something like. Aside from that moment, he didn't really get a chance to do a lot of funny things, and in this one, it's just throughout the entire movie. He's hilarious.
He's really great too.
I assumed from the subtitle that it was going to be a lot about the nation coming together after he's gone. So like Wakanda Forever, the idea is that like the people themselves are going to have to rally to kind of like carry on the legacy of Black Panther, because there is no Black Panther right now. And then there was going to be the passing of the torch of some kind by the end.
Some kind, yes, absolutely. And I think they handled some other. I don't know. There's a whole arc in there that really didn't even need to be in there, in my opinion, like involving some things in America that's happening. But I will say the person that plays Riri Williams got effing jacked for this movie. She looks insanely ripped. But unfortunately, they didn't really write much of her reasoning for why she's doing what she's doing. Aside from she's critical to the story, and they did a good job of explaining why she's in the movie. But they didn't really do much with why is she building suits.
Why?
Like they didn't really explain that.
Or who is she in general?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'm sure that will be what the show is, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. The show's going to be a little more her spotlight or whatever, and it's probably going to add a lot of context to this movie. But it's light on her because there's a lot going on in this movie. Even though it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long, like there's still a lot to explain and a lot of like notes to hit.
Does it feel bloated? That's a long runtime.
Not really.
It's a pretty long runtime, but it did not feel bloated. And I feel
like my biggest criticism was it ended right as it was getting the momentum going, which is not good pacing. Like if you're doing a 3-hour movie and your momentum is like just getting like really going in the third act, you kind of messed up somewhere, you know?
And
that's unfortunate, but I still think it's a good movie. So
So they focused too much on the feels stuff, like kind of like that. Is that what it was, or?
The what stuff?
The feels. Like
sorry.
The story and what everyone's going through and like the emotional aspect and then like the action kind of like, and here we go. And it's
on that enough. It's just there's some plot movements that just almost didn't even need to be. Like there's something that happens on the America side during all this Wakanda stuff, all this, whatever city that Namor's in. There's all this stuff happening over there. And then they cut to America. And
Namorville.
Yeah, Namorville. We don't need to be following any of these people in America right now. None of this matters.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see some of these people, but it's at the same time like, what? I don't know what this is.
That's just being a TV show. It doesn't matter.
That's the thing with like it's a double edge because it's like we want them to focus on like the everything connecting, right? All this connection.
Yeah. It definitely feels like Thor going to the cave in Avengers 2. Like that's the kind of be.
Where it's like, well, we gotta lay a roadmap for the future, so. What else are we gonna do? But it's still good. It's still a solid movie.
Yeah. And like the things that were really great in the first movie, like just the set design and the costumes and everything like that.
Dude.
That's
the
all
costumes
here.
Are next level in this.
That's all here, and the thematic way that they use different color palettes for different ceremonies, and just when you get the shots of like Wakanda, like on the streets or next to the riverbed and stuff like that, like you're like, oh, cool, like this is a totally different place. Like it's not just like. It's not just some city,
on a technical level, there's a lot of achievements there, and I know these categories don't really matter as much, but at the Oscars, they are the current front runner to win like costume design, production design, because they put so much effing effort into it that it's undeniable, even though it is a comic book movie and it's popcorn, whatever, blockbuster movie. It's undeniable. It's so freaking awesome.
Music's great again, So if you like music in the
first, he's doing something super interesting.
The trailer.
Star Wars, Mando boy is back, and he does really good. So like when a song is for Wakanda, and when a song is for Namorville. I don't know the name of it.
Is it Atlantis?
No, it's not.
It was in the comics, and they had to change it because of DC, obviously.
They didn't want it. They didn't want it to be anything.
I think
like,
it's Talokan.
Talokan. It sounds right.
Which is a real city based in Mayan mythology.
Unobtainiumville.
Unobtainiumville.
Yeah. God damn it!
It's Avatar land because they have blue skin. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see Black Panther: Way of the Water. I cannot wait to watch this movie. I'm very excited.
I can't wait for Namor to pop up in Avengers
and Avatar.
Way of the Water.
Avatar.
He's
gonna be on the whale. Like,
you guys gonna go see Avatar?
Now, Derek, the whole time we've been talking, I've been distracted by the handsome man in the picture behind you, Cillian Murphy. Tell me your thoughts on Peaky Blinders. You finally wrapped that series up. Any additional thoughts?
It's kind of like what Jeff said. We talked about it last week before I finished it, but like, the last season was good. I like all the seasons. It is my favorite show. And it ends fine. Like it wraps up decently, but it clearly doesn't like finalize anything because they are making a movie. So there is their ending, but there's certain characters where you're like, but you didn't address this issue or you didn't address them in particular. So if you didn't know there was a movie coming out or another season, you might be disappointed. But because I knew going into it there's a movie, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. So overall, I thought it was really good. And then I started the last season of The Last Kingdom. I'm almost halfway through that as well. So it's been nice. I mean, I'm still gaming a lot, but I've been switching over more to watching
Peaky Blinders
shows
nice,
and
dude.
Peaky
Blinders hat.
Peaking, isn't it?
I moved on from that. We're talking about The Last Kingdom.
You're like 5 seconds late.
Hang on, Jeff's gonna leave and come back with an axe because he's a Viking.
Oh,
Right
we
behind him.
changed. Okay, now I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been nice. Like I haven't even gone through all of Netflix, but I just like a little bit I've gone through. I've like already tagged like 15 things. So it's nice not having Netflix for like over a year and being like, I want to watch The Witcher, I want to watch Cyberpunk. I know people hated the Resident Evil show. I want to watch that season. I want to watch all these other movies I never saw. So but I'm hitting off the first two that are the most important to me, and I would say Peaky Blinders was great. And so far, The Last Kingdom, while there are definitely some bad acting because that show's not top of the line, it's still really well done, and I like the plot. I like the things that are happening. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it, so I'm looking forward to. I guess that's another one where it's concluding, but not really. They have a movie or something in the works, so
That's a popular thing to do, huh?
Yeah.
I don't think Peaky Blinders, I don't think that was their intention when they were filming the final season. And then I read after the fact, they were like, yeah, we're probably going to do a movie. And I'm like, well, what the hell?
Come on, guys.
I don't know. To me, the way they left it off, there's too many. I'm all for open endings. Like, even if you're an ending, I'm okay with like, I wonder what happened. But the way this ended, there's certain characters, obviously I'm not going to spoil it, where I'm like, no, there has to be an ending to that. That's the main, like, I would say the main villain needs to be addressed. So I wouldn't be okay with just like, well, he's there, he's annoying, he's doing these things, and then we just let him go be, and I go be. I don't know.
I can see why some shows might end that way, because it's like that's how life is. Like things just continue. And we told you the story went, but I also see, like, from a viewer perspective, I'm like, no, wrap this bad boy up. Like, show me the conclusion here. Even if it's a time jump to like 30 years later, he finally gets his comeuppance or whatever it is, right? So like, give me something.
But I highly recommend the show because, like I said, the atmosphere, the characters, I love
consistently good all the way through. Yeah,
I think Kyle and I are both behind on that. We got to watch that show.
Yeah, that's one that's like always been on my list of shame. That I'm like, I'm gonna get to that one. I promise.
You'll be surprised at the amount of known British actors that show up in the show. Like, you're like, holy crap, Tom Hardy's in this? What the hell? Like, it's
the guy I really like from Gangs of London. That guy's from
Joe Cole, I think. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, you're right about that.
I think he's a Shelby. No, I could be wrong.
So I'm watching. I'm gonna watch Peaky Blinders next. Actually, I've got it next to my queue. I'm excited to get into it. Finally gonna dive into that show. But I just watched that short mini series Inside Man that's on, and it's not based on the Denzel Washington, Clive Owen movie from a while ago.
All right.
It just shares the title. So it's a Stanley Tucci and David Tennant mini series.
Jessica. Sorry.
It's so.
My David Tennant impression.
I didn't hear what you even said.
You just like screeched Jessica. Like
Jessica. That's what when he was the purple guy in Jessica Jones. Whatever. Sorry.
Oh God. I never watched Jessica Jones.
I got it.
But anyway, so it's okay. I can't highly recommend it. It's got some clever moments. It's got some funny moments. It's actually legitimately funny at times when there's a really serious thing happening. There's one line where a character says, I don't know how anyone gets a murder done around here. There's so much admin work. Like, it's just like there's lines like that that are very funny around this dark thing where they're trying to figure out how to solve this thing that happened. I just think it's one of those movies where the problem that's created is so easily solvable by simply pausing and explaining what's happening, and everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. But things spiral out of control. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to spiral out of control where good people get into bad situations and now they're stuck. That's what they're trying to get you, the viewer. And I was very much like, no, like, it's very easily explained. And so that kind of bothered me. But Stanley Tucci as a death row inmate, right? Is that death row inmate, and he's like helping with certain cases, and he has criteria for some cases, and he has his neighbor who's also on death row, who has a photographic memory and a perfect memory for anything he hears. He has him come with him to all these sessions because he goes, they're like, do you have to record this? He's like, no, he's my recorder, because he can remember all the details, and they'll just like talk about it through their cells. I liked that. I thought that's
a good concept.
That was really cool. And of course, Stanley Tucci is so incredibly charming and easy to watch on screen. I love that guy.
Always.
I just thought that the main storyline wasn't that interesting. I'm much more interested throughout the series on the side storyline, which is why is he in there and what does he know? And they dig into some of his motivation. So that part was good. The main storyline with David Tennant's character and his family and all that, it had fun moments and interesting moments and like horrible moments, I guess. But overall, I was like, nah, it was just too unbelievable. So I didn't love it, but I thought it's fine. It's fine. So, and it's short. It's only 4 episodes. So there's that. Someone finished Atlanta. I guess that show's okay. People like that show a little bit.
Yeah, Kyle and I just finished the last episode aired this week, and there's not really a way to end Atlanta in a way that you expect Peaky Blinders to end. It's not that kind of show.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a comedy. It's absurd. So
Some
I don't think,
episodes
Kyle,
have
I don't know about
nothing
you.
to
I
do.
I didn't really have any expectations.
Oh,
about
I didn't even think it was gonna have a sense of finality, which it really didn't.
It didn't. It was just
but I
another
wasn't-
episode.
yeah.
It's just the last episode.
It's just the last episode. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great though. There was a great
I think
ride.
if you haven't started that show or haven't even checked it out, like that's one where, like that's worth checking out. Like that's
Is that
like
all on
straight,
Hulu now, right?
Yeah, it
all
is
the
now.
seasons.
Yeah, the whole thing's on Hulu. It's all written by what's his face,
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover.
you know this little guy. No one's ever heard of him. Donald Glover.
He seems childish. He seems childish.
Yeah,
So
a little
childish.
bit of a Gambino. But yeah, like this is like you could tell why he would want to leave something like Community to do something like this, because like he took his career of comedy writing, injected a lot of personal like stories and personality into it with this unique style, and then collected just the most random but interesting cast of like people he could find who all bring something like weird and unique to the table and stuff like that, all of which are like very famous people now. Maybe not because
now
of the
they're
show.
famous, yeah, but I
yeah,
think
maybe not because of the
Atlanta
show,
for
but
sure.
like in the first season, like they were all kind of new to the scene. Zazie Beetz and the guy who plays Paperboy, who was like in the Internals and stuff like that.
Right, yeah, Brian Tyree Henry, yeah.
Thank you, yeah. And then
those
Darius,
two names you just mentioned, Zazie Beetz and Brian Tyree Henry, like those are two faces that most of us are now recognizing whenever they pop up.
Yeah, they just pop up everywhere.
I mean, Brian Tyree Henry, especially in this show, because he's kind of he's it just makes me appreciate how much range he has, because he's done way more serious roles in the movie side, and in this show he's so effing funny. He's so freaking funny.
Bullet Train, he stole every scene he was in.
He's so good in
and he's totally different in that role too. He's totally different. It's a different kind of comedy. In this one, he's the straight man going, "What the hell's going on over here?" Like in this
y'all are
show,
all crazy.
Everybody else is crazy but him. So
okay, gotcha. Dude, you know what? Not to go too far into a rabbit trail, but you mentioned like a good straight man in a and that's just of course a phrase for someone who's playing the normal person in a crazy scenario, right?
Yeah.
And so The Office always had that. They would have some guest actor come in to bounce off Michael Scott to be like, what is wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
And I just watched the most recent episode of the It's Always Sunny podcast, and I'm blanking out on the guy's name, but he played like the waiter and the guy trying to hire them. And like
who are you?
He's a great straight man, and they talk about how important that is, and like he makes their scenes work because they get to bounce off of an incredibly like straight-faced, straight-laced straight man, and he's so good at it, and so and it was really funny.
Also, speaking of that, I have to give a shout out to Mythic Quest. They just had their season 3 premiere, 2 episodes, and some of the funniest laughs I've had in a while from a TV show. And that's including Atlanta, because Atlanta's more absurd and like brainy shit, and Mythic Quest is just like dumb. Like there's one part where the boss guy, who's I can't remember his name, he's Cricket, I think, in the
Cricket,
but he's like reading a letter. He's reading a letter aloud to a group of people for the first time, and everybody's asking him, "Oh my God, what does that mean? What are we gonna do?" He's like, "I don't know. I'm literally reading this for the first time to you guys. And he keeps saying that over and over, and it's so funny.
But he also has like a higher pitched voice, so he's very neat sounding, and like I love the episode when he like wants to be the wolf and he's like howling,
the lone
like,
wolf.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, well, he takes that personality test or whatever, and he's
Dude,
like, I'm great at it. He's wearing like a leather jacket. Like, so
Listen,
good.
The deterioration of Cricket is just
Cricket. Yeah, I know. That actor's so funny though. David, what's his name?
Yeah, he's super good.
He's so funny. He's
very
great in Mythic Quest, man. Like, yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, great premiere so far. Yeah.
And how about the Capture season 2? How's that?
Oh, this is on Peacock if you have that. Or I guess you could call it.
You mentioned this show to me, and it sounds really interesting.
It's on the Piss Penis Network.
Oh jeez.
I mean, sorry, Peacock. That's the old name.
I get it.
This is a show that's like, it's a British show that's kind of like in the same vein of Bodyguard that's on Netflix. Where it's like spy focused and very intense, and it almost forces you to finish it because every episode ends on just this amazing cliffhanger that you're like, no way, and you have to immediately jump into the next episode. So it's got that going for it, but the concept is it's around how the British, I think mostly the British government uses CCTV technology to solve like a lot of crimes and stuff like that. They rely on it very heavily. They have a very big network.
Oh, it's like Watch Dogs, the show. Got it.
Yeah, it's pretty much Watch Dogs, but what if very powerful people had deep fake technology that could incriminate people?
Man.
Like,
so it's a little Black Mirror-esque too, a little bit.
Yes. So it's like an expanded Black Mirror idea where they take deep fake technology and introduce it into CCTV footage.
I'm on board with this, man.
A lot of people are like, so the first season is about the idea of that, and it's about this guy who's, I think he's former soldier, military, whatever. And he is caught on camera committing a murder or whatever. And he's like, I wasn't even there. There's no way I did that. And so that's the whole introduction of deepfake, whatever. So then the second season is all about the political side of it. Like, what are politicians doing with this technology if they are doing anything with it? You know, it's just a very different story, but it's, man, the twists and turns along the way. It's so freaking good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe not on the believable side because the deepfakes are so freaking good. That it's like, okay,
but they clearly filmed that.
Yeah, but it's still, you just gotta accept it for what it is, and then you're taken along for a freaking tense ride, dude. It's so good.
Awesome, love it. All right, well, we spent most of our time talking God of War, which I'll do again. By the way, I love this game. I can't wait to go play some more. Actually, hopefully before I fall asleep tonight.
We did definitely doing a spoiler cast on that. Oh my god!
A lot of Game Awards predictions, and so I know we didn't get to headlines. So I just want to throw it out to you guys before we wrap. We don't have to wrap up like this second, but as we get ready to wrap up, anything else you're playing, watching, or a headline from this past week that you're like, yeah, we should highlight this before we go. I'll open it up. Anybody?
I'll just say that Andor had the best episode that they've ever had this week. And those who are waiting to watch the whole show, it ends in 2 weeks, and y'all are in for a ride.
Kyle, is it true that show is maybe not even mostly, but a lot of it's filmed like with I forget. I heard it talk about on Game Scoop where it's like
it's on location.
Well, I thought a lot of it was actually done with like Unreal technology, like some kind of like I'm blanking out on it. Not just green screen with special effects, but the special effects and the environments they're in are done so well you don't even know that they're not on location. But maybe I'm wrong. They were talking about on Game Scoop this past week.
Are you talking about the Mandalorian technology that they came up with?
On Andor specifically, they were talking about it. And
I just know from Andor that they shot most things on location.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, listen to Game Scoop this week and see what you think about what they were saying about it. Anyway, it sounded very impressive. It didn't sound at all like a diss. Like they love Andor.
Oh yeah, I can't.
I love what I've seen. So I'm not at all. This, just so you know, I don't know if that came across as trying to say like.
No, not at all. No, I just don't know what you're talking about.
They were praising it for it's some technology that's being used to shoot certain elements of that show, and how you can't tell it's so good, as opposed to other shows and other movies where you can really tell. So anyway, yeah, that show's amazing, man. That show's and I'm behind, but it's good.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for you.
And this is a good example of like a good binge, like because it does feel like one movie, just like a 9-hour long movie or whatever. So,
yeah. Okay. It's so good.
It's I'm loving watching it week to week, but like those who are waiting, like you're gonna get a really, really, really cool experience, in 1 or 2 sittings. So
nice.
I will.
How many episodes are out? Because I think
10 and 12 in all. So you got 2 episodes left.
Feels like this is longer than most of their series.
It is the longest Star Wars show so far. Yeah, I think it's even the longest Disney Plus show so far.
Yeah, I feel like most of them are like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And by the way, is this definitely a season 1 of more seasons coming?
There's going to be 2 seasons. Yeah, and that's it.
Seasons.
Yeah.
So planned 2 seasons. Nice.
12 episodes per season. They're starting. They're starting. They're starting to shoot the next.
They are starting.
They might be starting.
Dude, we've had so many slips tonight. I love it.
That's what Kyle was doing out of both ends.
That was just last week. Yeah. They are shooting the next season like in 2 weeks. Like they're starting it on. So
nice.
I just wanted to shout out Hogwarts Legacy footage. They did like a 45-minute showcase or whatever. It was like 40 minutes or whatever. And that game looks way more impressive than I expected. Very in depth. Like the campus footage is just so impressive. Like how, I don't know, they thought out like every corner of it basically, and it just feels large. It feels like as big as Hogwarts you would expect it to be. Yeah. And I like the dual options. The dual options look really cool.
Yeah. Well, and there's just a lot of like Mass Effect style, like talking, like running around and talking, like that. I'm super into,
selecting
it feels like there's just a lot going on in terms of like, hey, I'm walking through a room. I should probably stop and talk to everybody real quick and see what my dialogue options are.
Like it really feels like you're a student at Hogwarts, right? Like
and they said that they have a built-in reason for why your character is a 5th year or 4th year or whatever year that you're gonna end up being. So it's like a lot of side quests are about like catching you up in the year. And a lot of the school and like class stuff takes place via the main story, and like you can take times to go on side quests and like that will like elevate like certain stats or abilities that you have. But like the way that you want to play or how you want to engage, it sounds pretty open and into what you want to do. So
they should have a Billy Madison style where you could be an adult who discovers they're a wizard way later in life, and you attend with little kids, and you're sitting.
Yeah. I immediately was like, "Can you give your character a beard?" Like, no, you're making like a prepubescent 14-year-old in this game. So
I got home this evening from taking our dog for a walk, and my daughter had put on the first Harry Potter, and it's very dated. Like the special effects are clearly dated. Like, of course, that movie is over 20 years old now, or just under 20 years old, whatever. It's been a while, and so. But I sat and watched it with her for a minute, and I was just reminded of, like, what was it about those movies that was so magical? And it was all of it. It was the school. It was like the discovery and the mystery of all this and how this all works. And it was the music, just the perfect score for all those movies, really. And I feel like that game is gonna. It seems so far from what I've seen. I haven't watched this yet, but from what I've seen from all their showcases so far, I'm like, it's just capturing that magic of. What makes it feel so special. And it's like, oh, you're transported to this world that it's in modern day, and yet it's not. It's like way back in the day. So like it's just really cool. And I know this one's actually set way before Harry Potter, which is cool.
Yeah, I love the different setting.
I'm excited for this game, man. I'm excited to go back
me too.
I'm excited to see how much bigger the world is too, because they keep on talking about how you're able to go to other places outside of the school grounds and stuff like that. And how connected is that world? Are you jumping into some traversal system? Like, there's still a lot we don't know about this game, and we just watched a 45-minute video about how much. So I feel like they're really doing the game's marketing pretty well, because I'm not a huge Harry Potter guy at all, and the second they showed off this game, I was in, and the more I see on it, I'm like, boy, this is something I'm super on. So. Yeah.
Well, two things I wanted to highlight. One is that Sports Story is coming in December, although it's weird that they didn't give a specific date. It just said December. I'm like,
yeah, it did.
It's November, like you could just say like the date. Like, is it December 31st? Like, just say what date it is. So anyway, but Sports Story is finally on the way, and it looks so fun. Like I loved Golf Story, and this looks like a lot more of that with a lot more sports options. So I'm very excited for that game. A few other things were highlighted in the indie world showcase that look really interesting. A lot of cool art styles, like Jeff you mentioned, and I agree with you. But yeah, nothing that to me at least is worthy of
nothing too big. I mean, WrestleQuest has a May 2023 date now.
May 2023.
It seems so far off still, but
yeah, I know.
It does. I thought that was going to arrive this year, but I guess after their demo, they probably got some feedback and are just trying to. Because it was a little clunky. It was a fun experience, but it was a little clunky. I also wanted to highlight that Control 2 is officially in development. Yes. So Remedy has confirmed that. So that's awesome.
I can't wait for it to be more of the same, and everybody's going to complain about it.
Yeah, they did go out of their ways to say we want it to be bigger, and I was like,
yeah, they said something like the budget for this is like double or 3 or 4 times.
Because Control was actually a pretty small budget, weirdly. So
that game was pretty nice looking.
It was a great looking and performing game.
They used that game, like Nvidia used that game to show off ray tracing. Like that was.
It's got some of the best particle effects in any game.
Yeah, it was the DLSS like showcase for them.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
The only thing I'll add is just real quick. I was able to pick up a 8K TV today. I hooked up my.
I don't believe you. That's not real.
That's not enough Ks.
Well, I got a 14K TV, so step it up, dude.
14K. So what'd you try it out with, Derek? What'd you plug in?
I plugged it in. I tried out God of War, not the new one, obviously, not Ragnarok. God of War on PC and Forza Horizon 5. Oh, I did play a little bit of Hitman 3. Both I got all 3 of them running in 8K. I have to use DLSS. If I don't, it pretty much crashes my system. It's just like, what? No. But it looks good. But I will say it's just one of those things where Nvidia clearly exaggerated what 3090 could do. I mean, I know they were talking about, yes, you could do 8K with DLSS, but you have to turn a lot of things down, turn a lot of things off to get it to run anywhere between 30 to 60 frames per second. So I will stick to my maxing everything out at 4K, but at least I'm future proof. I got a really good deal. It was a $2,000 TV that was on sale for $1,400 that I've been looking at for like 6 to 8 months. I've already
that is a good deal. I was thinking you were gonna say like $4,000 because it usually is 6 or something. That is a good deal.
No, so and I wanted it because in fact right now we're as we're recording, I am on a 55-inch OLED screen right now. That is my monitor now.
That's not big enough. That's not big enough.
So this that I just got is my TV. It's 65 inches. And so I actually really like the 65 inches because I do sit further back on my bed. Yeah, I do. In the most non-gay way. But I sit back when I play like
you'd have
PS5, Xbox Series X. So, but my point
because
is
of health reasons, you should just.
I might be a little too close to the 55.
Mommy always said scoop back.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one that we replaced, the one that we have now is 65-inch, and it's like you have to, you can't be all up on that thing, like.
No, but that's what I wanted because honestly, the 55-inch, yes, you can see it. I'm not saying you can't see it, but I always felt like I was too far away. Now I feel like where my bed is positioned with the 65-inch, it works better. And then this 55-inch, probably too excessive for a monitor. I really wanted 42 to 48 inches, but I can't deny that OLED is a really nice screen. So
nice.
I've already warned my girlfriend. I said, I don't buy boats. I don't buy drugs. I don't drink alcohol. I don't care about cars. I don't care about houses.
I just care about inches.
If you marry me, we're going to have like 87 PCs and like 27 different TVs in our house.
You go, but babe, there's never going to be a better screen than what's in this house. You know?
You're never going to want more Ks. You're never going to be wanting
for
Ks.
Look so good.
You're going to have all the Ks you could ever want. All right, well, we will connect again next week. I'm confident we'll have a lot more thoughts on God of War. And like Jeff mentioned, I do think at least once a handful of us wrap it up. And listen, it might take a little while because I am not in a hurry with this game. Like when I first played through Spider-Man in 2018, I went way too fast and I didn't appreciate it for all it was. This year when I replayed it on PC, I just kind of enjoyed it and played it when I had time and just like actually played the whole game. And I did like 100% almost outside of the difficult run through. And I love it. I love it in a way that I didn't the first time. So I'm trying to take my time with this one. I'm not trying not to like, hey, it's Game Award season. No, I don't. I actually don't. I can take my time and just.
You should already know. I mean, obviously the ending could play a part, but we're already gonna know where this game falls as you play. I would say once you get to 10 to 12 hours, you're gonna know. This is either my game of the year or it's not.
I hit that mission. I beat that mission, Lost Sanctuary, and I think that's mission 5. And when I beat that, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is my game.
I do in like the first like 30 minutes.
30 minutes, Dan could tell already.
I'm not even kidding. Like literally, like that first emotional scene and that conversation.
I was around there, Dan. Just like when you first like started throwing axes and doing stuff again, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But again, because I'm such a story snob, like those first 2 big story moments, because it's like this whole year I'm trying to think back, and I'm like, nothing hit me quite like that. And again, that's
literally Shadow of Rose did.
Actually, it was no, that's Stranger of Paradise, but that was last year.
It was last year.
I am disappointed with the number of predictions that Stranger of Paradise did not get. You guys, we did not do our job.
Also very disappointed.
RPG guys, an RPG.
Yeah, best RPG of the year.
The DLC did come out this year, so.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for.
Paradise came out early.
I thought it came out in March.
It came out this year.
Wait, was it this year?
It was like
February. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
I guess that's how much I don't care.
It was so much chaos. I can't even keep track.
It came out after Babylon's Fall.
Yeah.
I'd rather play Babylon's Fall.
We're talking about one of those games still. You know.
I hated Stranger of Paradise so much. I'd rather play Babylon's Fall.
Oh, yeah, well, that one's the one that died.
I hate you for hating it, because it's actually a fun game.
I know. I can't wait to play it. I'm excited.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you all for listening and watching. See ya.